And we are live. Hey, everybody. This is Roberto Blake, helping you create something awesome today. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we have another FAQ Friday. So for those of you not familiar with the streaming schedule, the way we're doing it is Monetization Mondays to help you become a full-time content creator, get you up to $10,000 a month from your content creation across all your platforms. We have Workshop Wednesdays where we focus on skill building and things you need to know about different software and technical aspects of content creation, whether that's a thumbnail workshop, an AI tools workshop like ChatGPT, or something like designing and creating your merch, which also kind of leads to monetization. And then on Fridays, we do curator Q&As. We do FAQ Fridays to cover your frequently asked questions in the chat. Super chats, of course, always get priority. And our replay viewers, you're not left out. We're going to get you timestamps on the replay if you're watching this so you can navigate through the chapters of these long streams. And so that's what we do Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, usually around 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's the streaming schedule. We want to go ahead and do a little bit of housekeeping. I want to say hi to all of our returning viewers, but I also want to go ahead and shout out our sponsors of the show that allow all of this to be possible. And those sponsors are our good friends at Streamyard, which is how we're live streaming across YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Instagram Live, Twitch.com, X.com, formerly Twitter, and Kick.com. And soon we will be simulcasting in vertical to Instagram with StreamYard. That's coming soon. Portrait mode is coming soon for us to simulcast there. And eventually it'll be a little bit easier to also duplicate the stuff over to rumble.com as well, just so that we have another stream and another backup for people who happen to be over there, who care about content creation. So basically we want to be in all the major platforms and in maybe like 2 or 3 of the alternative platforms. So that's what we're working on. So thanks to StreamYard for making all of that possible. Now, a lot of you know I talk about not being dependent on a single platform, talk about being platform agnostic, and we talk about monetizing on every single platform you can. That's why we do multi-streaming with StreamYard. That's also why I repurpose clips from my live streams, my listicle videos, and my tutorial videos and my interviews with OpusClip, one of our other sponsors. They have one of the best AI tools you could possibly find to help you do animated captions for your videos and to repurpose your clips, not only in vertical short form, but also widescreen short form clips as well, which is great for podcasters that want to take their clips, put them on other platforms, but also maybe another YouTube channel for your clip show so that you can upload multiple times a day with no penalties. And so you can monetize that. So that's why we use OpusClip, and that's why we're happy to have them as another sponsor. They're part of our multi-platform workflow alongside StreamYard. And then finally, I want to thank our sponsor Kajabi, so that I own my own platform and membership website. From memberships through the Academy Pro Group, the Awesome Creator Academy Pro Group earns $5,000 a month for me in non-YouTube revenue, where I do not have to split 30% of my memberships with YouTube for my advanced pro group. My pro group is not like a $5 YouTube channel membership. It's much more expensive than that. However, I get to have all of that and keep it instead of splitting 30% with YouTube. We love YouTube, but 30% is rough, and then I've got to pay 20% to the government on top of it. So thank you to Kajabi for helping me build an independent platform that allows me to earn 6 figures a year as an independent content creator without relying on my views and without splitting that ad revenue with YouTube or my subscription revenue with YouTube. So thank you to our friends at Kajabi, the best place for online business to build courses, coaching, cohorts, communities, membership. So make sure you're checking all of our sponsors out. Links to free trials of everything are in the description down below. And we always talk about how to use them. We have plenty of free workshops to teach you how to do all of these things. So that is our shout out to our sponsors. So we've basically done most of our initial housekeeping. If you want to ask questions during the stream, we're going to pop them up on the stream. You guys are going to get to see those. And my hope is that you guys remember to put a Q in front of your questions so that I can see your questions and put them on the screen and know when to ask. And of course, we'll always prioritize our super chats. We got a great question here from longtime friend of the channel, Home Rapid Repair. Appreciate you. So, question, Roberto, do you think that channel memberships, giving subscribers my secret email address and being available for more in-depth questions and photos is valuable? I think instead of a secret email address, that you should consider a private Discord server or a private WhatsApp number that wouldn't be your regular number or your business line, to be a completely separate line. It could be a WhatsApp number, and maybe it's you have that WhatsApp text group, or you do a Discord server. I think that that would be actually more valuable for you, Home Rapid Repair. And then in terms of photos, I think because you do home repair stuff, that photos and behind the scenes or before and afters could be interesting. That could be something valuable to your members. I would also consider just asking your members what else they might want. So definitely consider that as a possibility. Let's see. Some people say here that the stream feels laggy to them. I'm going to see if there's anything I can do with YouTube in terms of that with regard to the latency. Let's see. Over on the YouTube side, I'm in the back end of YouTube. Doesn't look like there's much I can do about the latency. It seems like it might be more of a YouTube issue, which that's unfortunate, but hopefully YouTube fixes whatever the laggy bit is now. Because I didn't fix anything. I can't do anything, but like maybe it's just YouTube having some issues. So to anybody who saw a laggy portion of the stream, sorry about that. Hopefully the replay is better. Hopefully the replay is better. Let's see. When I joined, the bitrate seemed really low, like a bad connection. And I was initially on Twitch watching. Seems fixed now. Yeah, maybe it was just an internet thing in my area, or maybe it was a YouTube thing. Not sure. But yeah, you guys saying no issues? Great. Yeah, private contact point. Never thought about that. Yeah, absolutely. Having something to where your audience has more access to you could be definitely a great membership option for you doing channel memberships. I want you guys to remember, though, with channel memberships, as nice as they are, it still is you giving up 30%, and you're only getting a very minimal amount of utility from that. It's better than nothing. And I'm glad YouTube gives us the option. I'm glad they give us the option and they let us monetize in that way. So no shade to Team YouTube on that. It's just that 30% is a lot. But hey, we'll take it, right? Splitting 30% is a lot, but we'll take it. I do feel like YouTube doing 55-45 on ad revenue is appropriate because they facilitate so much that we don't when it comes to the ad side. YouTube facilitates a lot when it comes to getting us advertisers. So I'm fine with them taking, almost half there. And then I also consider that kind of the maintenance cost of keeping the platform up and running. So I'm totally fine with that. But when it comes to super chats, when it comes to memberships, I'm taking 30% is a little rough, but I'm like, it's still a better option than say Twitch. Twitch is 50%. I think that TikTok is like 40%. So 30% we'll live with it. I honestly think it should be 10 or 20, but we'll live with it. It's fine. YouTube, if you want to let us keep 90%, we'll happily take our 90% back. But yeah, but it's fine. We already did a workshop earlier this week on Workshop Wednesdays where I taught to you about how to build digital products, how to price your digital products, different digital products you could sell besides online courses, and also how to navigate explaining free versus paid content, both to yourself and to your audience. So if you haven't seen our Wednesday workshop, we went into that. I think it was about 3 hours long. And so we taught you how you can make a lot of money there. And then for Monetization Monday this week, if you go back and you watch the replay of Monetization Monday, we covered brand deals and we talked about brand deals and being a UGC creator, user-generated content creator, how to make money with brand deals. We talked a bit about pricing. We went over media kits. We went over how to explain yourself. So we did all those things. Thank you to Charles Moreland for becoming a YouTube channel member. Remember, we have 100 private videos up for members only videos that you can watch. So make sure you're checking out the archives. We got Home Rapid Repair with a $20 super chat, $19.99 super chat. Yes, thank you for that answer. I didn't even consider anything other than email access. Absolutely, yeah. This will be much better for you, better experience for them. And then it gives you, if you do a text group, for your membership with WhatsApp, the good thing about having a text group or Discord server is that there's a community that they're paying for access to and not just access to you. So if it's a community and they're participating in that, they're more likely to also remain members because they will want to maintain the access to the relationships they're building in the community and not just the access they have to the creator. So that's another advantage. And so it was a great question. Thank you for asking it. And I'm sure that the answer to that question gave other people things to think about. Lois Lorena, hey, I just joined the pro group. Really excited. Yeah, no, we're happy to have you. Make sure that you've, done the submission to the Facebook group, the private Facebook group, and then I'll make sure that you get approved for that. In fact, I could probably just go in right now, and if you've submitted for that, Lois, I will approve you now. If not, if you do that later today, I'll approve you and you'll get access into the private Facebook group and into our chat messenger for the accountability group. Frankie over 50 says, oh, hey, my cat woke me up. So glad I caught this. Yeah, no, we're glad to have you. Dave Killerish says, Patreon offers a better deal on some planks for subscriptions to creators. It does to some degree, but it also is something you have to kind of hedge in terms of what Patreon offers, but it's getting better. Patreon's getting better and better every year. So big shout out to Jack Conti and the team at Patreon. DT has a question. Question, Roberto, if I'm in a particular niche, real estate, music, photography, etc., how do I come up with the type of content to create? So depending on your niche, one of the things you have to consider with whatever your niche is what are you passionate about? What do your skills represent? And then also what will make money and how big is the total addressable market? So I have a slide somewhere in here. Let's see. Do I have a slide for Ikigai? Hang on. I think I have a slide for Ikigai somewhere in here. Let's see. No, we have Kaizen. Okay, I do not have my Ikigai slide. That's actually really annoying that I don't have my Ikigai slide. I have my Kaizen slide, which is different. But I can use this as part of an example to some degree. So whenever you're in a niche, these are areas that you should focus on, but also areas of self-improvement, value, quality, strategy, monetization. So for everybody, this is actually a really good lesson in different things that you can and should be prioritizing when you choose your audience and choose your niche. So how do I deliver value? And what is value interpreted as for my viewers? So if you're going into real estate, the value that you can offer to real estate people is how you can save them money, how you can make them money, how you can keep them in compliance with everything they need to do with the government, how they can find and source properties. So value creation, if you went into the niche of real estate, would really be value creation in terms of helping them make money, helping them save money, easing their frustrations and anxiety about the industry, keeping them well informed and up to date on things they need to be compliant with, and then also helping them understand and gain knowledge they don't already have. So that'd be the value propositions for a real estate channel. The value proposition for a photography channel is very different. The value proposition for a photography channel is skill-based in terms of helping them become a better photographer, learning flash, learning settings, learning how to get photography clients, learning how to do portraiture, learning how to do wildlife, learning hardware, learning what to buy, buyer's guide. So that's a different value proposition. Okay. For a music channel, the value proposition is quality music unless you're teaching. So then what's quality? Well, quality is mostly, for most people, it's the experience. So quality is the experience we get from your content. So a lot of that will be partly production values, but then it'll also be your performance. And then there'll be stylistic things like your personality. So quality will be, hey, are we getting good lighting, good camera, good audio? Okay. Then two, in terms of performance, are you confident in what you're saying? Are you communicating well and communicating clearly? Are we connecting to you emotionally? So the 3 C's for that, for performance. And then there's personality. So in personality represented in a channel is usually style, storytelling, and structure. So those things would be quality. Then there is strategy. Those are things that have a lot more to do with how you're approaching things like formats, live streaming strategy, short strategy, video on demand strategy, how you're addressing traffic sources, how you're approaching even the way that you schedule the frequency of your videos. How often are you uploading shorts? Is that 3 a day? Are you doing 3 shorts a day? Are you doing 3 regular YouTube videos a week? Are you doing a live stream every week? So what's the frequency in your strategy? What's the strategy you're using for picking your topics and your idea generation? What's the series that we're binge watching from you on shorts? What is the playlist or series or sequels or trilogies that you're making to your videos? What is your strategy for engagement and entertaining and delighting your community with live streams? So then there's strategy, monetization. What's the business model for this? In real estate, the business model might be selling courses. With photography, the business model might be affiliate marketing. With music, the monetization strategy is probably streaming royalties and selling your songs and getting people to go buy tickets for your events and concerts. If you're doing that, if you're a music instructor, it's getting more music clients. So when you say, oh, well, what do I do or what do I create depending on my niche? It's that every niche is different, but every niche you'll have to figure out what's valuable to your viewers, what's the quality of experience that you can create, what's the strategy that you're going to use in order to reach the most amount of people possible, and then what's the business plan? How are you going to monetize this? So when you're choosing, you have to really think about these things. And a lot of people, they don't understand how to apply this to themselves. That's where they end up asking me questions. Maybe they ask us questions in the Awesome Creator Academy Pro group. Maybe they watch some of my workshops or live streams. Maybe they come to an event. Maybe they do something like read my book, but there are ways to learn and figure these out. Now, if you're somebody who's like really a self-learner, when I say and introduce these concepts, some of you for $0 will be able to figure out how to apply this to yourself. That's some of you. Maybe that's 10% of you. 10% of you might be able to figure this out and apply it on your own without any additional help. I would argue that the overwhelming 60% of you probably need somebody to, at a bare minimum, work this out with you one-on-one and talk you through it. I think that 30% of you could probably start to figure this out on your own, but would get stuck and would need feedback and would need accountability partners and would need encouragement. So I think that's kind of the split here. I think 10% of people can watch something like this or see a chart like this and go, I know how to apply that to myself. I think 30% of people probably need a group of people that they can workshop it with, get feedback with, and get to a point of feeling confident that things are good enough. And then I think 60% of people probably need their hand held through a lot of it. So that's kind of how this stuff starts to work out. And so that's something that I think is really difficult for also creators to figure out is, where do I go from here? How do I get like some feedback on what I'm doing? Because like creating by yourself is lonely as hell. And it's very hard, unlike a lot of other professions, to find mechanisms of support and systems that you can use to accomplish your goals, because this is all kind of relatively new. YouTube has only been around since 2005, which means it's about 19 years old now. It's only been around since 2005. It's actually only really been a mainstream household name since about 2012, 2013 is when it became more of a household name. And it became more normalized in culture in about 2016, I would say 2015, 2016, roughly around the time of like, the peak of the Vine invasion and those creators going big and hard in the platform. Mr. Beast only got to 100,000 subscribers in 2016. He didn't become relevant until about 2019. So you really have to, like 2018, 2019. So you really have to look at, and you have to understand that this stuff being considered a legitimate career profession and something that makes decent money and is possible to make six figures at, that is a relatively new phenomenon compared to every other career you can think of. So Saffron Sage Astrology says, hey, Roberto, how do you decide between having a monthly membership or pre-recorded video courses? The answer is you do both. The answer is you actually do both. And the reason that you actually are going to do both is because they're actually two different type of people. Pre-recorded video courses are for do-it-yourselfers. Those are the people who, if presented with information and the capacity to learn, can learn on their own as long as they have access to the information and the things that they don't know. But then there are people who need something that has the mechanisms of encouragement, accountability, and feedback. And so those people need a monthly membership because they not only need access to their mentor, but they need access to their peers in order to still be motivated, inspired, be consistent, get feedback from multiple perspectives that they resonate with, and also to continue to show up, be accountable, and progress. They need that. So those people need to be part of a monthly membership or a cohort or a live cohort. So that's the type of thing for that kind of person, because they're the kind of person who benefits from collaboration and cooperation. So that's done together. So courses are do it yourself. And that's like someone who can take an SAT prep guide and learn on their own. Some people need a study group, right? So there's that person who can be a cram school person and can sit there and you give them the material, they can study their brains out and they can like ace the test on their own as long as they have the information and they have peace and quiet, right? That's who a course is for. So it's that SAT prep guide for the valedictorian. That's who the course is for. It's that person who can do it themselves. However, the monthly memberships and online cohorts and even in-person workshops are for people who need a study group, and that's how they best learn. So the thing is, it's learning archetypes. And I think a lot of the people who are like, oh, everything online is free, you don't need to do any of this, and fake guru this, fake guru that. I think a lot of those people, and don't get me wrong, there are fakes and there are people out there who are scammers, but the problem with a lot of things is people make everything black and white, one or the other, when there's actually different learning models because there are different types of people. And so a lot of times it's unfortunate, and I fall into this trap myself, is people who are smart on their own take for granted that some people are actually just as capable as them, but they would need a little bit more help in one area to perform as well as them. And so for some people, it's also how information is related. There are visual learners who learn best when information is broke down and condensed into diagrams and visuals and are no longer abstract concepts. There are people who do best through reading comprehension. There are people who are kinesthetic learners who need hands-on and to see something demonstrated and then to practice it themselves, and they need that. And then there are people who do very well, and the minute they hear something and they hear it in lecture format, they can imagine, conceptualize it, take it into their internal dialogue, process it, and perform. So there are all these different types of learners, and there are 7 different major learning models. And some people need a combination of the right 2 or 3 learning models at any given time in order to do their best. And there is usually 1 or 2 learning models that best serve them, but then they perform the best when they participate in maybe like 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 different learning models. I myself am kind of like this because with my photography journey, I do really well with photography, for example. When I can get hands-on and practice, that's very important. But I also need physical diagrams that explain concepts to me. A primary example would be something like the exposure triangle. I do really well when I get visual information like this. And some of you are like me. Some of you, if you get charts, graphs, grids, and visuals, you understand something instantly better. You understand it 10 times better when you can visualize it. And when you have something visual that your brain can recall, and that helps you a lot. I process information really well this way. I can retain things from lectures and I can retain things I read through reading comprehension, but not nearly as good as when I'm giving visual diagrams and then a lecture on the visual. So the combination of audio lecture and speaking to me and delivering and communicating really well, and then giving me a visual expression of the information and the data is the thing that those two combinations will do probably the best for me when it comes to pure information. But for a process, I need either a video step-by-step guide or I need an in-person physical demonstration. And then with those, I also need hands-on practice for myself. So to learn something physical, I need that. I need the kinesthetic experience of practicing hands-on. I need a demonstration IRL, or I need a demonstration through video and audio. And giving me text or step-by-step will not get me better results when I need to execute on something tangible like that. So you see what I'm saying? Now, the problem is not all online education can give you the right combination of learning models for your learning type and for your brain chemistry. And so the best teachers I find are ones that, one, either collaborate with other people. So this is where having more than one mentor or instructor, as long as the information doesn't contradict each other, is really helpful, because there are people who excel at teaching in certain types, matched for certain types of learners. And as long as they can teach well in more than one format, more than one dimension, and then you can combine those dimensions of learning. If you have about roughly maybe 2 or 3 people that can cross these different 7 styles, and you get a well-rounded experience, then you're absolutely guaranteed to get the right combinations of 2 to 3 that you need for all the different things that you're trying to learn. And this is still a flaw that happens not only in online education and in free tutorials, but this is actually present in traditional education. If any of you are familiar with or have experienced being left behind by your college professors, your high school professors, your elementary and middle school teachers, if you felt like there was things where you felt like stupid because you weren't getting it, it probably actually wasn't your fault. It was that the right learning models and the right depth and dimension of learning style was never applied to you and never accommodated for you. So one of the things I try to do, and what we do in the academy, me and my co-instructor, Andy Rivera, and then I'm working with my brother and sister as well, is we've tried to figure out how to create resources around all 7 different learning models. And then we've tried to figure out the different learning combinations that work best for the most people for specific skills or information. And then we figured out, okay, here's something that has a physical component, so make sure we do these things. Here's something that has a pure raw data component, so let's do these combinations. And so we're still working this out. But I think that when you do, okay, here's do-it-yourself courses for people that are self-motivated and driven. Here is a membership for people who need a study group. Here is coaching one-on-one for people who need a tutor. And then here are done-for-you things like worksheets, template systems, presets, so on and so forth, to get people over the cold start problem of blank canvas intimidates me, I freeze, that kind of thing. I think that when you look at those 4 categories of resources, 4 categories of resources, 7 models of learning, and then remembering combinations work best. When you know that, you can make the best digital products, you can make the best online courses, and you can make the best memberships when you know that. But here's the thing, even a degree in education doesn't teach you the thing that I just said. So even if you went to school and you got a degree in education, it would not teach you the thing that I just explained. And so it's very hard for people to know how to make good resources because they don't understand the barriers and frustrations and difficulties that people have experienced in learning and why learning has left them behind, or rather why conventional learning has left them behind. So I hope that this kind of helps you an explanation of how do you prioritize these things? Because I actually believe that you should offer a membership for people who need a study group, courses for people who are do-it-yourselfers, and then for people who just have trouble starting, I think you should make resources like templates and done-for-you items that they can use, done-for-you resources. So for people who struggle to start, you have that. And then for people who have very, very specific issues and need more hand-holding, that's where I think one-on-one coaching comes in. So I hope that makes sense. I know it's a long-winded explanation, but I try to give you guys depth, and I hope that I'm explaining in a way that more of you can understand. So I hope that was helpful to everybody who might do education. Get Good Dad says, as an instructional designer and teacher, what Roberto said is 100% true. All right, glad to hear it. Appreciate you. Maggie, the substitute teacher, 99 super chat says, thank you for all the educational content. Yeah, no, I appreciate you. I'm considering actually making some kind of workshop eventually for educators on YouTube, people who do educational content. So if that's something you guys are interested in, definitely let me know. Yeah, Get Good Dad says, if you want to learn what Bert is talking about, you need to learn instructional design. That's the way to learn how to learn and to learn how to teach. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Instructional design is very different than just general education training. General education training is actually very different than instructional design. And then they teach aspects of instructional design if you go into corporate training. If you go into corporate training, let's say you have a white collar profession, and you then become a SME, a subject matter expert, or an SME. So in corporate world, they have SMEs. Sometimes it's called a SME, and that's a subject matter expert. And then when they take you through corporate training, one of the aspects, if it's a good corporate training program, they teach you the concepts, or at least an introduction to instructional design. And that's very different than teaching someone general education. Very different. Peter Hollins, my good friend. For those you don't know, Peter Hollins is definitely a very, very successful content creator, well over 1 million subscribers. I think 1 billion views. YouTube comes from the music space. Peter's a good friend, has been for years. Peter says, hey, I have that hat, love that hat. Y'all better listen to Roberto because he knows what he's talking about. Yep, appreciate you, Peter. We got Lori Lundquist in the house. How's it going? Let's see. Yeah, I'm sorry if Nightbot is being a little aggressive. I'll try on the next stream to turn down the settings on Nightbot. It thinks when people are doing caps or doing emojis that it's spamming. So what I'll do is I'll see if I can tone down Nightbot just a little bit. In fact, actually, I'll just log in now, and I'll try to do that here on stream just so that some of you have a better stream experience. Unfortunately, because of like how many people do spam and do like you know, really unfortunate things from time to time, sometimes it makes you know, tools like Nightbot a little bit more necessary. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tone down the options on caps and emotes, and there you go. So I've turned down the caps and the emotes on Nightbot. So the chat should have a better time now. So you guys should be having a little bit of a better experience. So Spanish Blueprint says, Roberto, how do I balance making content and growing an audience versus developing products for monetization? They both take a lot of time to do. Okay, so here's how I would approach it, and here's how I am approaching it. I would say that in terms of making content to grow the audience, that you start to prioritize how to make your content simple and how to make evergreen content and how to batch record your content to put yourself ahead, and that maybe you even get rid of the editing or outsource the editing and you get that done, or you make the edits very simple, and then so that still does it, but you make sure the quality of information is there. Then that frees you up, and then you can prioritize your product development as well. And so I think that that would help you with the time constraint issue. So that's the thing. That's the thing that I would work on if I were you. I think it's a great question. And Yusuf, that should also help you too with your struggling between client work and your channel. Batch record and get a really good workflow for the content when it comes to get a good workflow when it comes to the content. And what might help you is kind of some of these productivity workflows that I utilize. In fact, for a lot of you, What'll help speed you up is I created systems. A lot of people don't have systems for what they're doing, and the lack of a system actually slows people down. So what I did was I created something that some of you may be familiar with. So I made something called Creator Blueprints, and it's only $9. And what it does is it gives you a lot of the systems and workflows that we use in my team, and also that we teach in Awesome Creator Academy's pro group. So what I did was I said, okay, how do we get people to start using the systems that we do and have a process for everything? And I mean, literally everything at this point. How do we address the major problems that creators have? So we made PDF decks. You guys have seen my decks and my slide presentations. We made PDF decks, and we made systems and workflows for everything, and frameworks for everything. So we made frameworks for everything, and then we put these frameworks all into this product. And so there's like 10 of them. I think we're going to be adding some more to them soon, but I'll give you a primary example. One of the frameworks PDFs that's in Creator Blueprints is the Clarity Framework. And what we did was this helps people have a comprehensive guide for brand strategy. Okay, so Clarity actually stands for the core values of your brand, the look and feel of your brand, which is basically your style and your aesthetics, developing your audience avatar and understanding them, figuring out what you're going to stake your reputation on, the individuality it takes for you to be unique and stand out, how you build trust with your audience, and what is the yield? What does the audience get out of that? So that spells clarity, right? So this is a 7-part framework, okay? And so the questions you have to ask yourself to start to really identify your brand is, what are your brand's core values? What are the guiding principles and beliefs that you want your brand to embody? For me, transparency, radical transparency was a big part of what I wanted my brand to represent. And I think that a lot of you understand that with my extreme transparency around monetization, analytics, data dumping. There's basically no question you can ask me about my business that I probably haven't answered. From how much money do you make? How do you make your money? Where's your money come from? Who helped you along the way? What advantages do you think you had that other people don't? There's very little. What equipment do you use? What software, hardware do you use? What is this? What is that? There's almost nothing that you have asked or could ask me about anything that I do that I haven't publicly answered. And you can even ask me whatever you want in this stream, and I'll basically answer it. So radical transparency is one of my core values. What are your core values? Maybe come up with 3 of your core values, and that would be really great for you to be able to establish for your brand and know what they are. How do these values align with the content you create? Well, for me, a lot of it dictated doing some of my most popular content, like the analytic streams and deep dives. How can I communicate these values to my audience? I think I do a very good job of communicating that, being as transparent, being as straightforward as possible. So, and that's just one of the values. What is the audience aligned with my core values and purpose? I believe that creators are naturally very grateful and very, let's say, have an affinity for people who are radically transparent about everything, because creators rely on and trust people to tell them things they want and need to know, so that they are more prepared and more capable than they would be stumbling through the wilderness on their own. So having real guidance and knowing that they don't have to take that guidance on faith, because they can take that guidance on data and on real transparency, and not have unanswered questions in terms of whether or not this person can make the claims they say or is who they say they are. I think that radical transparency is naturally aligned to content creators, especially content creators who desire to do this full time, and that they appreciate things like, okay, can you show me your data? Show me what's in your YouTube dashboard. Hey, how much revenue do you make? How do you make it? How'd you get started? What was it like when you get started? What were the things that you went through? What would you do differently? I think that my audience is very aligned with that. So that was easy for me to sort out what my core values were. Look and feel. I have an unfair advantage. I'm a graphic designer. That's what I did for a living before all of this. Graphic design and marketing. I was in advertising. So unfair advantage in terms of understanding look, feel, aesthetics. That's where I understand things like camera gear, lighting, brand design, typography, color theory. Even what I know about a lot with regard to psychology and human behavior is because I learned advertising. So look and feel, I was able to establish my typography and my aesthetics. You guys know I kind of update a little bit of that in my brand every year. So for a lot of you, sorting this out would actually be really good. Figuring out your audience avatar. Hey, what's the target audience? Where are their age, their demographics, their location? What does the audience find valuable? How can you engage them and better understand their preferences? Can you do surveys? Can you do things like that? What is it they want to see represented or changed in the world? All kinds of things. So we figure out audience avatar. Reputation. What do you want to be known for in your niche? Me, again, I want the reputation of being radically transparent, authentic, and I also don't mind being known for being the tough love guy. Not at all. How does the content reflect what I want to be known for? I think my content absolutely reflects those things, and I make sure that I try to put that forward in the way that I approach it, the way I do the packaging, the way I do everything. Oh, how can I enhance my reputation? Well, for me, a lot of that was, one, I didn't start teaching anybody any of this until I had 100,000 subscribers on my own. And I got that mostly without ever even talking about YouTube. I actually got most of that off of my Photoshop content, my freelancer content, my video editing content, my camera guides for budget camera gear. I got most of this teaching people creative services and tutorials. So I got 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, and then I started talking about being a full-time content creator toward people. So I think that helped tremendously with my reputation. I think the fact that I only talk about what I know about and things that I've done or things I've done for clients helps with that. I think my Trustpilot reviews help for that. So for a lot of you, you need to figure out what's your reputation going to be. What's the social proof that you have to build to have credibility in your niche? For some of you in gaming, it would be if you start becoming ranked in your game. That would be an example. If you are in a certain profession, it'd be your certifications, your results, your client stuff, or winning an award in your industry. So it'd be things like that. Individuality, what makes you unique, what makes you stand out. A lot of that could be your personality driven. It could be your story. There's a lot that can be done with individuality and uniqueness. And then in terms of trust, what promises and commitments can you make to the audience? How can you ensure that you're consistent? How do you maintain that trust? What would cause you to lose trust with your audience? And what protects your community? So these are the things in the clarity framework. This is just one of our frameworks in Creator Blueprints. And I think that, it becomes important to have models like this, learning models like this, that help you put things in perspective, because a lot of you just off of this one framework will think a lot more deeply about how you're approaching your content and how you're approaching your brand. So, again, that's something I want to share with you. And that's just one of the frameworks that's in our Creator Blueprints. And our Creator Blueprints is literally a $9 thing. So, there you go. Cadu Ribeiro asks, Roberto, can you explain how to better collect accurate psychographics from your audience? I think that polling is underestimated, surveys and polling. And you can use the YouTube community tab for surveys and polling for that. You can also use the direct response from your comment section when you do things, and you can put a question of the day in all your videos. Then you can use your question of the day from all your videos. You can put all of that into a spreadsheet, and then you can start to feed that into something like ChatGPT, look for patterns, and then look for those psychographic breakdowns. One of the other things with psychographics is, I would say that with psychographics, something that you could also look at is, what are ways in which your audience would identify? Are they more introverted on average? Are they more extroverted on average, and why? What would be things that for them represent extreme preferences, not surface level preferences, but extreme preferences? What would be things that in your audience that you can identify and that you can figure out trigger a certain response. And you could do this through things even with A/B testing. You can do surveys. You can look for research on your audience, and you can look for case studies that maybe the people who sell to your audience have done case studies, and maybe you can look into some of those things. Get Good Dad asks, Roberto, I'm an instructional designer by trade. The content in that space is so dry. Do you think there's a market for hip presentation of instructional design content? I think there is, but I think you have to frame it not as, hey, here's content on instructional design. I think you'd have to frame it around what instructional design is best used for. A good example would be your clients for instructional design that actually have money would probably be coaches, public speakers, and podcasters. So if you framed it around them and then how they can use this to better sell coaching courses, webinar cohorts, or so on and so forth, then that could be useful. And for people developing digital products, because that's a money-centric audience. And so you're guaranteed to make that monetizable because it's a money-centric audience. So that's a monetizable niche. The market cap in terms of the people who will watch that content may never get you to a silver play button, but absolutely can make you $100,000 a year, even without getting you 100,000 subscribers. You have the skill to do it, and you clearly have a passion for solving those problems. So I would say that your only real issue is that instructional design content, even if you cater to course creators, public speakers, and coaches, your only problem is that I do not think it's a 100K silver play button channel, or at least not easily over the course of 3 to 5 years. However, it is a 6-figure business within 2 to 3 years, if not in year 1. Yes, correct. Get Good Dad. Sell what they can build with the tool versus the tool itself. Exactly. Melly Cinco, how's it go? Another wonderful Academy member. Good to see you. Qteek says, hi, Roberto. Any advice? I gained a lot of subs for my 1 million viral short a few years ago, and despite making more of the same and being clear about my content, they don't seem to convert into viewers. Well, here's the thing. Subscribers and viewers, there's not really inverse correlation there, because YouTube, if you look at your data in your analytics, and I can actually prove this to all of you, because this is actually an easy one. So the thing with YouTube is that YouTube actually does not show or give majority of your subscribers the opportunity to ever see your videos. And I wish more people would spread awareness of this fact. I wish more people were aware of this, because it'll probably help the mental health of creators if everyone knew this. Because then people could just stop feeling embarrassed about it. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. So I'm gonna show you the lifetime data for my channel, right? So this is the lifetime data for my channel. And if we go to traffic sources, and then eventually, this is so much data, it's gonna take YouTube a minute here. We're gonna go to bar chart when it's done collecting this data. Come on, YouTube. There we go. Well, still struggling. Thanks, YouTube. YouTube is still struggling with this. Okay, so because the main thing I want to do is I want to show you the bar chart, because these numbers are really tiny. Thank you, YouTube. About bloody time. All right, so we're going to go to yearly here. Actually, I don't want to do it by over time. I really just want the views for traffic source. So let's try and see if we can get a bar chart. I don't really care about yearly. All right, so we got a bar chart here. This will make it easy for you guys to understand, and this will make it easy to see. So we got a bar chart here. So this is the collective views over the lifetime of my channel, which is 41 million views. So YouTube search is the overwhelming majority of mine. Now, even if you're an entertainment channel, that might be different or whatever. And this is going to explain QT's problem, because this is everyone's problem. Your views do not come from subscribers. I want you guys to understand that, because here's every single traffic source that YouTube has. So it has live redirect, it has campaigns, related shorts, remixed videos, sound pages, product pages, hashtag pages, partner program promotion, short feed, Google search, external app, unknown, end screens, all these other things, annotations, promotions, cards, other YouTube features, direct or unknown, channel pages, external, browse features. Browse features include the homepage and subscription feed. And here's the thing about that. If we click further into that one and it gives us the data, even out of that one, which is not even our largest traffic source, look at the homepage and then look at subscriptions. 72% versus 19% of a traffic source that in and of itself is only about 20%. So subscriptions by the transitive property were worth, if it's worth 20% of 20%, then it's worth about 5% in my case. Now, granted, I am an education channel and I am an OG channel, but I want you to think about that. In the lifetime of my YouTube channel, with 41 million views, in the lifetime of my YouTube channel with 41 million views, only 1.4 million of my overall views came from YouTube subscriptions, 1.4 million out of 41 million. So that's almost another 40 million views that had nothing to do with my subscriptions. That's insane. Out of my impressions, just on browse feature impressions, I have 100 million impressions just on browse feature. And remember, browse features is still only like 20% of my overall stuff from YouTube, right? So out of that, subscriptions was responsible for only 28 million out of 100 million impressions. Therefore, subscriptions had a 1.8% overall click-through rate out of everything. So subscriptions as a traffic source for YouTube were worthless. This is what I mean about radical transparency. So if you're like QT and anyone else in the chat, anyone else watching this in the replay, even if you get subscribers, you won't necessarily get more viewers to your videos because you got subscribers. Just because you got subscribers will not translate that to being new viewership for your channel. I'm sorry if the way that YouTube phrases that feels misleading to you, but that's how it is. Because out of all overall traffic sources, and I showed you this, for most of you, the YouTube homepage won't be it. It'll be, YouTube search page won't be it like me. It's search page. For most of you, it'll be homepage and suggested. That is the most for you. But I also want you to look at impressions. Most of my impressions, even from browse features, came from the YouTube homepage, not from my subscribers. YouTube does not necessarily show your videos to subscribers. In fact, I can prove that even further because there is a thing in advanced analytics called subscription status. So of my 41 million views, 33 million of them were from non-subscribers. In fact, YouTube breaks down the percentage, and you can see it right here, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Look at this. 80% of the lifetime 41 million views, almost 42 million views, thank you for 42 million views, for my channel were from non-subscribers, not subscribers. The good news for me is I ended up converting viewers into subscribers, but subscribers don't become viewers. It's an inverse opposite expectation from what you would have. This also proves the 80-20 rule. Now, again, I'm just one channel, but I've seen the same pattern even in channels that are entertainment based. I've seen it in almost all of the 15 major YouTube categories because I've coached someone from each of the 15 major YouTube categories to a silver play button before. So I've seen this over and over and over and over again. And also a lot of people share their analytics with me. I've seen thousands of analytics dashboards at this point. Because people will DM me those things. Some people will share them in Discord. I've been a part of other people's Discord communities, and we've just poured over the data. We've exhaustingly agonized over this data. And the conclusion is literally quite simply that, generally speaking, if you're not a famous YouTuber, the subscribers don't turn into views, and most of your views will not come from your subscribers. I would challenge any and all of you. In fact, actually, you can submit this into my Discord server. You can just go to robertoblake.com/discord. I'm going to drop it in the chat for you. We have a section of Discord where if you want to drop your analytics, you absolutely can drop screenshots of your analytics to share and for people to pour over, get feedback, and to dissect, or for transparency purposes, or for us to just have more data. And the thing is, if you look in your own analytics, you could screenshot it and you'll see for yourself. You can screenshot and see for yourself that the majority of your views probably came from people not subscribed to your YouTube channel in the first place. And for those of you who are wondering, well, what does YouTube even count as an impression? What does YouTube count as an impression? YouTube counts an impression as when they show at least 50% of your thumbnail on screen for at least 1 second on any YouTube traffic source. And then that's what an impression is for YouTube and what counts as an impression. So that's just sharing some data with you, and maybe that's helpful. And maybe that makes a lot of you feel better about what you've got going on with your content, because once you know how YouTube works and you know the data and you know what the data represents, it probably, frankly, will help your confidence and your self-esteem, because then you realize, okay, I'm not doing as bad as I think. I'm not doing so bad. So again, my goal is to try to help you understand what's actually happening with your content and actually happening with your channel, and help you kind of have a gauge for, okay, what should my expectations be? Let me bring these back down to earth. Let me not get depressed. Getting depressed and not feeling like you're getting anywhere is what makes people quit early, and that's what causes most of the failure in YouTube. Majority of the failure in YouTube is unreasonable expectations, FOMO, judging yourself against big creators, judging yourself about people growing faster than you when you don't have the full story, and then that makes people get discouraged, hurts their content, they get in their feelings, and then they never become successful. Coastal Diva says, so should we click show to my subscribers when we upload the video, or leave that blank? If you are experimenting with new content, maybe you don't check the show to your subscribers. If you're experimenting with new content, if you're experimenting with shorts and you want the shorts algorithm to find the best people possible for your thing, as long as you can stomach the hit of knowing my video will not perform immediately, as long as you can live with not getting anxious about not getting views right away, it can be better. It can be better to not show your video to your subscribers if you think a large portion of random subscribers could skip over it anyway. My videos in the long term will probably do better if I uncheck showing it to my subscribers, because if it hits the wrong sample size of my subscribers, it could hinder its performance. So, and YouTube doesn't like to share that, but you know, that's something that could matter. So the thing is, if you've also changed niches in your channel's lifetime, that could be affecting you too. But it does more in the short term. It has more of the impact one way or the other in the short term. In the long term, if the content is optimized for a different a different traffic source, if the channel is optimized for a different traffic source, then you can play by slightly different rules depending on that. So I'll give you a primary example. For me, the smartest thing I can do and I am looking at this and working on this, is increase the number of videos that I make, like the one I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you the data on one of my videos and the fact that I should make more of this, probably more than any other type of video. So there's a video I made a while ago that I'm going to share here. So this video, you can look at this video and go, wow, that's a really successful video, Roberto. Congratulations. It has 110 thousand views. It has over 100,000 views. It has a 60% average view percentage. Like, wow, this video is great. Okay, but let's look at how this video started, shall we? This video started out underperforming and for a very, very long time. So when this video first released, this video did 1,400 views. And then the next day it did like 34 views, 29 views, 11 views, 12 views, 15, so on and so forth. This video struggled to break 50 views a day. Then it got to 100 views a day, then 200, then 300, and so on and so forth. And it built momentum over time. I had to be patient on a video that any other YouTuber of my size would have deleted out of embarrassment and would have given up on. And this video actually did really well for me. It did convert subscribers, and it is a strong video on the channel, and the video dominates and is now the #1 ranked video for 15 different search results. For 15 different search results, this is the #1 video for 15 different search results. It's in the top 5 for over 70 different searches that you can do. This is a powerful video for my channel, and this will keep getting views for at least another 1 to 2 years, and this will be a 250,000 view video, I'm pretty sure, because I know how my content works at this point. But it's a video that anyone else would have given up on because they would have been embarrassed that they have a big subscriber base and the video only did less than 2,000 views in a day. They would have been embarrassed. They would have deleted the video. They would have never given it a chance. Giving up on this video would have obviously been a mistake. It would have been an L to give up on this video, because now this is absolutely a video that I can be proud of, and it succeeded and it helped my audience. And look at where its growth comes from. It comes from 78% search. And you know what the external is? The external is Google search. So the video is 90% search. So the thing is, the video absolutely failed for suggested, failed for the YouTube homepage. YouTube homepage isn't even in the top 5 traffic sources for this thing. It's overwhelmingly 90% based on search. Subscriber views didn't help this video either, because for this video, its audience was 97% non-subscribers. 97% non-subscribers for its views. This kind of makes it to where you realize that everything you thought about YouTube might have been like incorrect. When you see this, it makes you realize, wait, most of what I think about YouTube might not have been correct. And that's okay, by the way. That's okay, because that's just how it is sometimes, right? And so if we look at this progression, initially, its initial views were from, and I have to change this to views, not watch time. Yeah, views by subscription status. So initially out the gate, the video got initial views because of subscribers, but they never helped the video. In fact, to this day, they haven't helped the video. If we relied on subscribers, this would be a 3,000 view video. So again, I don't want to, subscribers are not meaningless because they're useful for unlocking all of YouTube's features, and they're useful for getting the attention of brands and getting sponsorship, which is how most YouTubers make their money. However, this should prove to you that when it comes to views, purely if your goal was, I want more views, subscribers are basically worthless. And I don't mean to say you as a subscriber is worthless. I mean that YouTube makes subscribers, because YouTube does not give you the opportunity for your video to be viewed based on having a bunch of subscribers. That used to be how it worked before 2012 and before the biggest algorithmic change in YouTube in 2012. But because so many of the biggest YouTubers are from 2012, everything that they did back in the day, and because they're still relevant today, gets carried over to the next generation, still believing that YouTube works because of how their favorite YouTuber when they grew up had it on YouTube. So I'm showing you the raw data to contradict a lot of that. Now, if I had permission from other people, I could share data from other channels, but I don't have permission from other people to share their data. But again, that's where people in my membership group share their own data willingly, and then they give permission. So, you know, and then in the Discord server, people post their own stuff. So then, okay, here it is, just look at it. So, and this is an example on one video. If I use another video, nope, I don't want to watch that video. So we don't want to do that. If I use another video, those are all my scheduled videos. Those are scheduled. Oh, it does the scheduled thing. I'd have to search. Okay, I can do that though. I can search across your channel. Let's do the video on. There's a video I did that we got. There's a video that did. Oh yeah, here's one. This is a good one. Okay, so here is another video based on subscriber status. This one is 70-30, and this one has 94,000 views. Even initially out the gate, this one did better with non-subscribers than subscribers, more or less. I mean, unless you count like that first hour of upload before it flips over to like midnight or whatever. But ultimately, non-subscribers ultimately did the most for this video and continue to do the most for this video over a period of time. And it's not even close. And so you can see that 75, like 70-30, it's basically 70-30 here on this one for views. So again, yet again, we overemphasize subscribers because subscribers are status, but subscribers do not help you with the algorithm. That is a myth. Subscribers do not help you with the algorithm. That's the myth, you see? It's a myth that, oh, because I have a bunch of subscribers, I will get more views. No, you have subscribers because you're getting views, not the other way around. So that's the trick. And then in terms of audience, what you really want to do is you want to look at in 90 days, you want to know, do you have an active audience? Well, what you want to do, and this one's just for an individual video, what we really want to look at is we want to look at the, even though that was a cool metric, what we want to do is we want to look at the audience tab for our whole channel. And then we want to look at it for a 90-day period. That's your real audience. The people that watched you in the last 90 days that are unique viewers, that's who your audience actually is. Returning viewers are the people that are real loyal to you. So those are your real active people. Those are your real audience, and that's your true audience floor. But that's across all your videos. People are making a mistake. If you have, if you only have a handful of videos, like if you have 20 videos and somehow you're at 100,000 subscribers, sure, you can go off of being as good as your last upload and say, oh, I have active viewers or whatever. But if you have a big inventory of videos, people have a lot of options when it comes to you, and YouTube is trying to serve them whatever they want, not what you decide to upload. So across all your videos does matter for your whole channel, but because it's not a public number, no one thinks about it. But the public number is meaningless. The back end number is the truth. And so public is just perception. Public is not truth. Public is perception. It's not truth. Truth is data. And the real data says, okay, here's the people who watch your channel and come back. These are your returning viewers, but here's your actual audience. It's the unique viewers that you had over the last 90 days. Now, some of you only care about month to month, but businesses are quarterly. And so I think quarters are a better indicator of everything. So I go off of 90 days because in business, we go quarterlies. We do quarterlies in business. So I would go more and lean off of that. And then what you really want to figure out is if you subtract your returning viewers from your unique viewers, you can basically figure out what your conversion rate is for subscribers and go, oh, I'm turning this percentage of these viewers into subscribers. And so you'd kind of want to go off of that. So hopefully this just helps all of you understand some of the mechanisms behind YouTube a lot more, and that most views don't come from subscribers. The relevancy of subscribers are the status you need to stand out, because there's a thing called pre-selection bias. And so pre-selection bias means that people look for social proof and signifiers of status. And so they will trust a big YouTuber over a small YouTuber in some cases off rip. Now, there's also the fact that some people look for larger YouTubers. Let's say if you, for example, if you were a political YouTuber and you're a big person, you have like 1 million subs, people look to that person to validate their point of view because, hey, look, this person in authority shares my point of view and my perspective. So then people use someone else's status for confirmation bias. So consider that in psychology, that's another thing that makes someone's subscriber count appealing, is things like confirmation bias and the appeal to authority fallacy. Okay. Now, sometimes there are other biases that take place in YouTube that determine views. Views can be determined by something like social proof or status, but that can be social proof or status in a thumbnail that does something instead of a subscriber count. There's also such a thing as pre-selection bias on attractiveness. So pre-selection bias on attractiveness is if you see an attractive person in a thumbnail and then you see an unattractive person, or at least unattractive to you, in the thumbnail with the same idea, same subscriber count, same view count, you're more likely to click on the more attractive person in that case. If two people have everything else equal, but one of them is then signaling status, then you're more likely to click on the person signaling status. If two people are equal in every other way, but one of them shares your point of view or your identity, then your pre-selection bias on that is going to kick in. So you see what I'm saying? So if you're wondering, well, why do subscribers matter? 1, community vetting mechanism for YouTube to unlock certain features. 2, brands filter by subscriber count and say micro influencer, mid-tier influencer, macro influencer, mega influencer, nano influencer if you're really tiny, and they sort you and price you based on your status because they're using group consensus for their pre-selection filter. So pre-selection bias actually is a thing that happens. And so anything that can elevate your social status helps you get through that filter of pre-selecting. Okay. Then after that, there are other biases that take place after that. And then you can position your content around that based on, confirmation bias through shared value, shared opinion, or shared identity. So there would be that kind of thing. So there's positioning against that on brand. Then there's things like the attractiveness filter for pre-selection bias. And then there's other things like ways you can show social proof in a thumbnail, not just the status of your views or subscribers, but you can show social proof in a thumbnail, like when people flex cash, cars, awards, ranking in a video game, world champion, trophies, things like that. So those things then make someone more likely to click. All of it is psychology. All of it's psychology. And that's where advertising and marketing is an advantage to some degree, because there's some tricks you can't use and still have credibility, because some of it starts to lean on being a little unethical, which is what trips a lot of us up in education spaces. Is if we're trying to be the most ethical, then we can't use every trick that we might know just because it would get us a better result. So sometimes you can't always abuse that, because also at a certain point, your audience disrespects you if they feel like they're being constantly manipulated. So you have to be careful with that. We've seen a lot of YouTubers lose credibility in places like finance, for example, because they abuse their audience with clickbait. They abuse their audience with the most clickbait tactics all the time. And so it really does end up getting them short-term benefit at the expense of long-term credibility. So that could be a thing. So I do think that subs matter. Subs just don't give you an advantage in the algorithm specifically. Yeah, vertical vertical live streams, because now I think we need to stop calling it the shorts feed and we have to call it the vertical feed. I think we have to call it the vertical feed now because from what I'm seeing with shorts, well, not just shorts, we have to call it the vertical feed now, because now that we have shorts and we have lives and you can do VODs as vertical, the live streams that are vertical are getting 5x to 10x the views of live streams otherwise. Sometimes as much as I'm seeing 20 to 30x. One of my coaching clients that's a gamer is specifically killing it with this. So I think vertical live streams are interesting, but it's also very new. But when something's new, YouTube pushes it more aggressively. So I'm really interested in that, and we're collecting a lot more data on that. JC Live says, why is my CPM and RPM so low? Is it because I only have been monetized a month? Sometimes it's because you're new to monetization. Sometimes it's the niche of the content that you make. There is no, so every niche in YouTube has different CPM and RPM ranges. And then even then there are special exceptions. I'll give you a prime example. Gaming is usually an extremely low niche. So if you're a YouTube gamer, your CPM and RPM is going to be like $1 to $5 usually. But there are exceptions. I see Minecraft channels that can get 10 and 20, but they're exceptions. They're not the rule. And a lot of people like to post, oh, look at this. Who says that gaming gets low money and everything? Look at me, I'm killing it. But it's like, but okay, are you the exception or are you the rule? Because there are people who do other games and they're not getting that. So why is that? Oh, well, I'm doing this and I have this strategy. It's like, okay, cool. But not everyone can do that. If everyone could do that, then your thing will go down if everyone's doing it, because then it'll be saturated. And then when that thing gets to be that, oh, here's the price going down. Or, hey, are you winning at that because you're doing exceptional? Not everyone can do as good as you. So there's, there's that. Because there are, yes, can you be a gamer that gets a $10 or $20 CPM RPM? Yes. Will you be? Highly improbable, highly unlikely. So I'm balancing the spectrum of probabilities. Gaming should be assumed to be a low CPM, low RPM niche. Let's see. Nevermarrieddating.com dating app says, oh, that's an interesting name. Why does everyone like videos over reading? Well, not everyone does. Not everyone does. There are still people who are multi-millionaire bestsellers, and that same content would not perform in video. And then there are some people who do both. And so there you go. Pearl the Nephilim asked, Roberto, what would you recommend an art channel do that isn't talking about drama? Wow, is the art community allowed drama? Interesting. Okay, so what would I do? This is just me personally. Knowing that art is very passion driven, and I myself am formerly a traditional artist, let's say, right? I say that formally just in the sense that in my middle years now, I'm not prioritizing it. Right now in my middle years, I'm prioritizing being an entrepreneur and paying down a mortgage. I treat myself to art in terms of digital photography, but in terms of my drawing and painting, I haven't kept up with it, but I've been at least doing my photography. So I'm still an artist. I'm just not, I'm doing digital art now instead of classical art. So I'm doing digital. So I'm still an artist. My point is, what would I do? Well, knowing that it's very passion driven, I would say, okay, just because it's passion driven and I might be good at it doesn't mean that it's profitable and doesn't mean that people will care if I don't do it a certain way. So if I want to succeed, I have to overcome some of my internal ego. I have to learn how to kill my darlings, and I have to realize what I want to make is not what people want to watch. So if I want to do this professionally and I make money, I have to be like the old masters. And so I might have to paint the Sistine Chapel, even though I hate the Pope at that point. I'm making a joke about Michelangelo. Michelangelo famously despised the Pope when he painted the Sistine Chapel, and he hated every minute of doing it. I'm not saying to take it that far, but I'm making that as a joke. I'm making that as an analogy here in my storytelling. So what would I do? Personally, I know I would be successful if I find something that people are absolutely obsessed with in large numbers. And that if I made art projects around things that people are obsessed with in large numbers, and I made art projects that are almost impossible for my competitors to duplicate, and that would be too emotionally painful for my competitors to live with doing, then I can win. In fact, I will tell you, you probably will not do this, but this will just illustrate a point. I have a strategy that I know would guarantee that within 3 to 5 years, if someone did what I'm telling them, I could almost guarantee that in 3 to 5 years, they could have a 100,000 to a 1 million subscribed YouTube art channel with about 20,000 to 100,000 supporters in almost all their other social media platforms. But this strategy is painful. Physically, I mean, it's physically painful, which is why almost no one will do it, because it's physically painful and it's emotionally painful to do. So you'd have to pick something that is pop culture related that people care about, number one, which already might be painful because, oh, I want to do original characters. Oh, I want to do this. Oh, I don't care about that franchise. But you have to pick something like Star Wars, Marvel, Harry Potter for an individual project. And then you have to do this thing partly in phases. And this is how you would do it. And this is just what Roberto's big idea would be. This is an idea plus a strategy just to illustrate a point for y'all of very difficult, non-duplicatable things. So I do this thing where I begin the process of, I'm going to draw out the beginnings of like a mural. And I would like do that maybe and do the live streaming of me drawing out and building out the mural and taking some suggestions for the mural from my audience and from people who super chat or become channel members at a certain level on YouTube or on Twitch. What I would probably do is their name is going to make it into some part of the mural at the time. So then I draw it out and I like do that on stream, and I do those as my live streams, and that's part of my live streams and spending time with my community as an artist. Then I'm going to take and then I'm going to do the digital art. We're going to color this in, fill it in. I've got so I've done this and we've got that. Okay. But then I'm going to take a projector and then I'm going to paint like an entire wall in my studio or whatever with this, mural. And then I'm going to film it from multiple angles. I'm going to do all kinds of things. I'm going to even probably have a camera that's on a slider. And I'm also going to have a video camera that's doing a time lapse of me drawing and painting the mural over time. So I have the time lapse for a compilation, because then I have this really cool, weird time lapse video of a blank wall going to a completely painted mural, and then and then showing off all the different angles and the tracking in slow-mo and it making it very cinematic. So then that's a really cool video. Like people will watch like a mural done from beginning to end in a time lapse. And the thing is, I would probably do these murals as once a month projects. And that's why this is physically hard and painful, because every big video, or rather even all the components of all the footage you get from this, you can get multiple videos out of this mural project in terms of edited YouTube videos, and you can get more than one time lapse out of this thing, but it's a once a month project. And then you get micro content out of all the live streams from it and from little pieces and components of it and so on and so forth along the way. And then what you also get to do is, because you did start with the digital file or whatever, you do get to make posters that can be your print on demand side of posters, but you always do your posters as a limited run, and these become time capsules. And why do these become time capsules? Because here's the painful part, because you get another time lapse, because every month, once the mural for the wall is done, we're going to do the Sandali concept. And a lot of you don't know about the Sandali concept. It's where you make something beautiful and you spend an agonizing amount of time making something beautiful, and then you destroy it when you're done. So once this mural is completed and you've gotten all the footage and all the photos and everything you need for the project for the month, it's time to start over. It's a new month. It's time to start over and time to paint the wall white again. And then there's a time lapse of you undoing all of the hard work that you did. And now it makes it special. Now there's this psychological component and this FOMO of knowing I have to be there on the live stream, seeing this thing get made. I want to see the stream of celebrating the unveiling of the completed mural. Oh, I want to be there for the premiere video of the time lapse of the beginning to end, from zero to beginning of the video of the thing being made. And oh, wow, I want to be one of the 250 people who get to buy the limited run prints of the mural in its different like sizes or whatever you do a limited run. You do a drop. You basically do a drop, and it's like, hey, once we sell out this drop, it's over. And so people will fight to be the people who got to buy the merch for this thing in the drop, and it becomes a time capsule. And then their only second chance is at the end of the year when you make all of the projects for the year available again one time, laying them out of the vault, doing a second drop on every project from earlier in the year. And you do this over and over once a month. And people will talk about it because it's an interesting story of an artist spending an agonizing month creating a mural and stuff like that with their audience and community, and destroying it every single month and starting over and doing another one and another one and another one. And the thing is, if you really wanted to make this kind of trendy, you would time it in such a way to time it throughout the year around things that you know are going to happen in culture, in a broader culture that people care about for the year. And you do that. And by the way, that can be one wall. That can be one wall. Now, here's another thing you can do. If you were insane, you would do another wall that you're doing a little bit more at a time. And your second wall is a year-long project where you spend a year crafting that project with one element of each of the other projects throughout the year, makes it into this other grand mural that you work on throughout the year. And then that one becomes the time capsule for the year. And at the end of a year, that mural gets destroyed. And the other cool thing is you could also do a daily post 365 days a year throughout the year of the progress on it and everything like that. And then you destroy it at the end of the year, and you rinse and repeat this. And this becomes a 100,000 to 1 million subscribed channel within somewhere between 1 to 5 years. It hits these for sure. There's no way in hell it doesn't. But again, no one will do this because it's insane. No one will do this particular art idea because it's insane. And multiple people could do this art idea because they wouldn't all pick the same 12 things to do in a year. So it still works for multiple channels. Nobody will do this in the art community because it's too painful emotionally and it's too exhausting physically. But anyone who can do it and did it would absolutely get 100,000 subscribers in YouTube, 1 million potentially over 5 years. And in 5 years, they absolutely have 100,000 followers in most of their other platforms. They'd have at least 100,000 in 2 other platforms, 100,000 in YouTube, possibly 500,000 to 1 million subscribers after 3 to 5 years of doing this for sure. But no less than 100,000 subscribers, absolutely. And they'd have a great monetization strategy because of the limited edition drops of their artwork. And they'd be able to keep raising the prices on those individual prints and print on demand limited runs, of limiting it to like, 250 people, because they'll have 1,000 true fans. And those 1,000 true fans basically will fight to the death to be part of the 250 that can buy any combination of drops from them. And so that definitely makes it an absolute like bidding war. And if there's some bigger poster or print that at least you made profitable to where it's going to end up being like $100 profit on the drop and people are paying and there's 250 people who can get in on that $100 profit of merch for you. So whatever the margin is at 250, then that's 25,000 on the largest, most profitable piece in your drop. And that would happen every month for this, and you would be drawing FOMO because of the fact that it's a drop, so it's not available forever, and it's only 250 people to max out on it. So the thing is, that becomes a $300,000 print-on-demand merchandise play by driving FOMO, and because you built real FOMO and urgency into the project, because every month you're destroying your mural, and every month the drop is only available for a week of the final project print on demand for a week, and driving urgency. And when it's sold out, except for the drop once again at the end of the year, 12 months later or whatever. So, and then you're doing monthly, built-in FOMO, built-in urgency, built-in people talking about it, built-in, can't wait to see it, built-in desire for participation. And again, people's names do certain levels of donations and super chats. You give them a certain price point for their name to be in the mural, but you also make that a limited run list every single month of how many people's name can be painted into the mural. That ends up also being a profit center every month, and setting an interesting cap on that and saying, okay, only let's say only 25 people, and they have to, in order to compete for that, it's whoever the like highest 25 donations in a certain amount of time is. And let's say, because since YouTube takes 30%, let's say the buy-in for that is like $150, you'll keep 100 of that, then that's a guaranteed 3,000 pretty much from that every time, times 12 plus the big drop at the end of the year, so it's really times 13. That one's $40,000 just off of donations for the year on top of that. The way I'm approaching the strategy, you can absolutely, and that's on just the biggest donations competing for the bidding war on the super chat side. It can be more. And so then you win on that plus additional super chats. Then you're talking ad revenue on this thing. This thing there's so many ways to get ad revenue for the views on this, and for the live streams, and for compilation videos and all this stuff. So this becomes absolutely a six-figure art strategy, multiple six-figure art strategy, if done correctly, the way that I would approach it or tell you to do it. And on top of that, it, in my view, it easily becomes a 100,000 to 1 million subscribed channel. But you see why no one's doing it. Everything I just said to do is emotionally painful, physically exhausting, very difficult to do. And then they would have had to come up with the business model, which most people are not going to do. So no one would come up with this content strategy. No one would come up with the monetization schema that I did. They would make their art available year round for everybody to buy, instead of doing limited runs like I would be thinking. And they wouldn't be locking it up in a vault and saying, haha, you only get one opportunity to buy this upfront, and then the other opportunity only comes once a year at the end of the year. Then it goes back into the vault until or unless I ever feel like doing another run, which maybe never. And that we're doing this, and this is FOMO once a month all year round, and then doing a year-round mural, basically Sand Dolly style, only to destroy it. Again, who wants to suffer like this? Like, right? But like, and then on top of all of that, you're having to make art about a mural based around whatever's popular at the time. That's the other thing. You have to make it something popular. So I'm already making you do something popular versus what you might want to do. Then I'm making you have to do a certain monetization system that absolutely will not feed your ego at all, but will make money. And then on top of all of that, I'm making you destroy what you made every month, and then every year, forever, after all that hard work. So that's why no one will do it. That's why no one will do it. But I hope that even if that doesn't tell you what you should be doing, I hope it inspires you to say, here is what thinking outside the box really looks like for an art channel and a creative channel. Here are the opportunities at play. How creative can I be if I'm not down for doing something that emotionally burdensome and that physically demanding? Well, what could I do? And so you see how this can be opportunity. So You know, I hope that that makes, you know, some sense. And I hope that at least, even if that's like, oh God, do I really want to do that? I hope it's at least inspiring that, oh wow, I would have never thought of an approach like that potentially to an art channel. And maybe I can figure out something that does work for me or that does use some of those elements, but maybe is just less painful. But that's like, again, that's my like, I'd love to see that. I would watch that. I would subscribe to that. I would buy the merch drops for that. But yeah. Someone brought up that we have the 12-week creator playbook and they said how helpful it was. Here is a link to anybody who has not gotten the 12-week creator playbook. I think that's incredibly powerful for a lot of you and more people should check it out. So I've linked it in the description and I've linked it here in the chat. We have a free 12-week creator playbook to help you get focused, gives you some specific resources, and it gives you assignments to complete so that you can actually start putting things into action and into work. Yeah, and if you guys are not hitting that like button on YouTube, you need to be hitting it now. Appreciate you all in the chat. Let's go ahead and run up those numbers. Terrell Shea says, Roberto, does it matter what time you post videos very early on? No, not really. I've posted it every time under the sun over the last like 10, 12 years. I don't really feel like it matters. YouTube does tell you the best time to upload for you in your analytics, but the main thing is post when your audience is awake. Yeah, if you just post when your audience is awake, you should be fine. Creighton TV says, I appreciate your book. Yeah, if you guys haven't picked up my book in Amazon, and if you haven't given it a review yet, definitely check it out. Create Something Awesome, How Creators Are Profiting from Their Passion in the Creator Economy. Definitely need to buy the book. It is extremely helpful. So Creighton TV says, Roberto, I appreciate your book. I've read it 3.5 times now, and I learned something new each time. Also continue to share it around with people to make sure they buy it. Very helpful. Thank you. I appreciate you. Kim Helm asked Roberto, what days of the week are live weekly sessions in your membership? Great question. So those are at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday and Thursday. We go live for our 2 office hour sessions every week in the Awesome Creator Academy Pro group. We hold people accountable. You can do hot seats and say, hey, I want everybody to roast my thumbnail or the intro to my video here. Let's go. You can ask questions about anything that you need. We help a lot with brand deals. Sometimes we do role play for a brand deal negotiation. Negotiation and selling yourself is very important. You know, we help with pricing packages, reviewing media kits, helping with that. Then we also have a lot of material. We haven't made it a course, let's say, yet, but we have a training program where we have 100 hours of our webinar trainings that are not duplications of my YouTube videos. We have 100 hours of training across, 12 categories that we broke down, so that you can pick what you're struggling with and that there's material to help you. So that's what we did with the pro group membership is we have do-it-yourself training, 100 hours of do-it-yourself training. We have done together cooperative work in the academy where you can post and get feedback in the Facebook group any day of the week. So that's, you know, us working together, done with you. We have hundreds upon hundreds of templates of done for you work. And then in terms of doing it, you know, with you, doing it together, you have access to the office hours where you can ask me and Andy Rivera or any of the other group members any of your questions. So that's kind of how we approach things is you have done for you resources, do it yourself resources. We do things together, and then you have the opportunity to have things done with you. And then we also offer all of the Academy members 30% off of one-on-one coaching with me if they want to do a one-on-one session. So that's how we set up the Academy. Malevolent Elephant says, 108 million of my lifetime views, and 97% of those views are from non-subscribers. Yeah, there you go. That's how bad it is on that side. If you were expecting that YouTube shows your videos to subscribers, debunked. Subscribers do not get you views. Debunked. And it's not just from my channel. Proof's in the pudding. A lot of you, if any of you want to post, here's your lifetime views. Here's how many of your views were from non-subscribers. Keep posting that in the chat. I'll keep posting it on the screen because people need to understand that having subscribers is not where their views are coming from. Yeah, feel free to always check the replays. John Constantine asked, Roberto, how long does it take news channels to grow? Do you mean news channels or new channels? I'll answer both. News channels grow in proportion to the news cycle. There's no predictable hard number that I can tell you for that because it's just about the news cycle. If you get in on a hot press story or you break a news story, then obviously you'll grow faster. Also depends on presentation style, attractiveness, all these other things. News anchors come out of casting 101 for a reason. So the other thing is, if you're saying how long does it take a new YouTube channel to grow, that is predicated on the total addressable market of the niche, whether you're doing trend jacking, the style, your personality, any number of factors. So there's no real number to throw out. But what is normal is for people to struggle for 1 year, their first year, to get to 1,000 subscribers and get their 4,000 hours of watch time. It is normal for that to take them 1 year. An extreme would be if you actually got to 10,000 subscribers in 1 year. I know a lot of people say, oh yeah, you should be able to speed run to 10,000 subscribers in 1 year, even if you know what you're doing. No, 90% of channels never get to 10,000 subscribers. So that would be outlier success if you got in 1 year. My first year of taking YouTube seriously, it took me 11 months. That's not normal, even back then. And I didn't realize that at the time. But the data that we have says that 90% of channels never get to 10,000 subscribers. And it'd be very rare for people to actually get monetized in their first year because only 3 million channels ever are monetized now. Only 3 million channels are currently monetized. There's 100 million channels in YouTube. Some people only count the 67 million active based on Social Blade. But in either case, that still means it's less than 10% of channels, less than 6% of channels are monetized on YouTube. By my estimation, you can call it 3% of channels. So even just getting monetized in a year is a miracle for people because 97% of creators aren't monetized with ad revenue. So, I mean, not in the partner program, like at all, even with the new rules. So getting monetized in a year is already a miracle for most creators because most people just will never get monetized. Metrics Mule says, fear of the invalid traffic bug prevents me from sharing any video to social media or embedding them on my website. Is it worth the risk, again, for a larger reach? The reach you'll get with that is minimal either way. And then the invalid traffic bug, don't be in fear of the invalid traffic bug, because if you're in fear of that, it means that you're just scared of what will happen to ad revenue. Optimize your channel to make money on something other than ad revenue and don't use that for motivation or inspiration. Creators' biggest problem, I don't want ad revenue to ever go away from YouTubers, but I will say that ad revenue paralyzes people and people are addicted to it like a drug, and it decides the fate of every decision they make on YouTube is based around ad revenue. I think that some of what helps me is I don't care about that much. It would be inconvenient for me to not have ad revenue. It does represent 8 to 12% of my overall income. But the thing is, it becomes less and less of a percentage of my income as time goes on. And the thing is, it was never an abundant source of my income because people say, oh, well, what about when you're a small YouTuber getting started? I made almost no money when I got started on AdSense. And when I started back in my day, back in the olden days, I was in a multi-channel network. They were taking 50% of my ad revenue anyway. So YouTube was taking 45%. Then out of that, what was left, the MCN was taking 50% and ripping me off. And then I had to pay taxes on the rest. I might as well have not made any ad revenue when I started. So for years and years, I was in that contract. And so I didn't care about ad revenue. I made money other ways. And this is before I ever started doing coaching. I didn't start doing coaching until 2018. 2017, 2018. So for those 4 years, I wasn't making any money on coaching for 4 years. So what I do, I made most of my money on affiliate links. Started with like the Amazon affiliate program. Plus I did freelancing. I did client work. So I was doing client work and I did the Amazon affiliate program. Then in 2016, I got into software as a service affiliate stuff like Tubebuddy in 2016. That started making me a couple $1,000s, but that didn't happen right away. That took like a year or two to start making me real money. So I didn't start getting any significant money out of AdSense until 4 or 5 years after I was doing YouTube. I wasn't making any significant money off of ad revenue until 4 or 5 years after I did YouTube. So ad revenue never mattered to me as a small YouTuber. It was nice. It was a motivation. Oh, wow, this has potential. That's all it was is, oh, this has potential because I'm getting something. Something is better than nothing. But it wasn't like life-changing money when I started. So I think that ad revenue holds creators hostage mentally and emotionally. And the thing is, if you just thought of it as a nice to have, your life would be much better. Think of ad revenue as a nice to have. And if you monetized in every other way that you possibly could, you'll be stronger because you'll be an independent creator who's not really reliant on YouTube to make their money as much as you're benefiting from using it to drive attention and traffic. QT says, do you think a channel can succeed without social media? I have a website and I'm building my email list. I look at YouTube and social media much the same thing. I only look at them as ways to reach people, make them aware of me, put myself out there, and then drive traffic to my newsletter and to my own website and to my own community. So things that I own, I'm looking for things that I own, and I use YouTube and social media as traffic sources to get back to things that I own. So I use them as a utility. A lot of people use them for validation and as a goal, and their goal is to be a big YouTuber. I use it as a utility, and that's where I would differ. But even if I was an entertainer, I would use it as a utility. Like Andrew Schultz uses it because then he gets attention and then people go to his comedy show. You see what I'm saying? So I would use it as a utility. People like dream too much of being a YouTuber as an end goal instead of as a means to an end. I use YouTube as a tool rather than a goal. And I know that that doesn't resonate with everybody. I think it resonates with some of you older creators, but not with everybody, and not with some of the more artsy types, because you might be looking for it as a source of validation. So again, I'm just a little bit more cold about it in the sense that I look at YouTube as, okay, this can help me reach people. That's useful. It's useful because it can help me reach people. But reaching people is only valuable if I retain the relationship and YouTube doesn't control my access to a relationship. That's why I'm multi-streaming right now. I'm multi-streaming right now because I think YouTube, I'm not sure. I think YouTube has me with like 100 or 150 of you watching me on YouTube. But because I'm streaming to 6 different websites, there's actually 500 of you watching live right now. 500 of you are watching live right now because I'm across 6 different websites. If it was YouTube, I think it's 150 of you watching, but I'd still be grateful for. I'd still be grateful if it's only 150 of you watching. But because I'm multi-streaming, because I don't rely entirely on YouTube. Don't get me wrong, YouTube's my biggest traffic source. No, wait, Google's my biggest traffic source for my website. YouTube's my second biggest, something like that. So YouTube is powerful and it's very strong for me for my business and everything I'm doing. But I also have 94,000 people in Twitter. I have 13,000 on my email newsletter, 33,000 in my customer database on Kajabi, 24,000 on Instagram, 12,000 on LinkedIn, 10,000 on Facebook. And I have a decent podcast listenership as well. So I think like on average, 2,000 or more of you on average, something like that, download the podcast. Like 1,500 of you download the podcast every episode or something. Because I think we have over 100,000 downloads across 80 episodes. So again, YouTube is really good to me. Don't get me wrong. And I wouldn't ever want anything to happen with it. But I constantly think about how can I depend less and less and less and less on YouTube and not be a digital sharecropper. And if I'm on social media, how can I be decentralized on social media and be distributed across everywhere? That's where I'm like, all right, multi-stream with Streamyard, multi-purpose and repurpose with OpusClip, monetize every platform I can, get a check from all of them, do affiliate links with multiple affiliate partners so that nobody goes away or changes their terms of service. I'm not screwed there. Do multiple sponsorship relationships so that, if something doesn't shake out with one of them, still making good money. So I just believe that you have to build a strategy that says you can be successful under a variety of circumstances and that no one thing can beat you. So I think that's really important. I think with people being debanked and with free speech stuff, you have to have multiple payment processors. You have to have multiple ways to receive money. You have to put a lot of these different things in place. And it sucks because a lot of you are like, no, I just want to do one thing and do this. But that's like being an employee. So I'd rather just be scaled and diversified. And yes, a lot of people want to consolidate their stuff into one thing so that their numbers can be as big as possible. Now I'll just add up all my numbers from everywhere and have aggregate numbers because I'd rather be decentralized. I'd just rather be decentralized. Jason B says, Roberto, question. I want to be a real filmmaker that makes movies. I don't really want to be a YouTuber, but how can I leverage YouTube to build my brand and get views up from my films? All right, Jason, you're thinking of it wrong. And I'm going to tell you why. One of the most popular channels on YouTube are the official channels, and I believe they're owned by the media holders that do the clips of movies. One of the most popular things on YouTube is the late night shows clips being on YouTube. Okay, so those people are not YouTubers. They're late night show hosts, they're television producers, they're filmmakers, but they get absurd amounts of views on YouTube. In fact, the aggregate population of people that see their movie clips or their TV show on YouTube outweighs all of the views that they get in the movie theaters and in broadcast, and it's not even close. You can go see for yourself. Go look up the clips for like any popular movie from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and then go look at the box office numbers and then parse how many people saw the thing in the theater versus what the aggregate amount of views across all of its clips on even just one YouTube clips channel that's like the official one, like the movie clips channel and AMC and all those ones or everything like that, MTV, blah, blah, blah. More people gained awareness and saw the thing because of it being on YouTube. The views on YouTube for late night show clips get more views individually per clip than the live broadcast of those late night shows gets. They have a larger viewing audience for late night shows on YouTube than they do on cable television. So you're thinking of it wrong because you're thinking of the romanticism of how the thing is consumed versus the fact that people see your thing. All that matters is the consumer saw it. It doesn't matter if they saw it in the movie theaters, on DVD, Blu-ray, on VHS, on a projector, or heard it on a damn 8-track. It doesn't matter. People consumed what you made. And the thing is, if you make a really good film, someone's going to bootleg it and upload it to YouTube anyway. So you're looking at it from the wrong perspective. You need to de-romanticize the idea of how the thing is consumed and the status derived from the name and lights, and just say, I'm going to make do you know what makes you a real filmmaker? Making a real film. How people consume it doesn't make you a real filmmaker. If you're a real filmmaker, and the only people that see it are people at a film festival, you're still a real filmmaker. If you're a real filmmaker and the only people who see it are the people when you buy out the local theater and premiere it, then you're still a real filmmaker. And so if you upload it to the internet, you're still a real filmmaker. Do you understand? So like, that's what you need to look at is you need to understand that even YouTube was initially predicated on content that was never even made for YouTube in the first place. Content that was never even made for YouTube is initially what grew YouTube. The Huddle with Walter Strong III says, Roberto, what were the 3 important skills you learned on YouTube before having an audience doing live streams? Great question. I would probably say visual design and branding, communication skills, probably very important. I would say communication skills. And I would say production. So that'd be lights, camera, audio, production, communication skills, because, well, communication skills. And then I would say visual design and branding. So I'd probably say those are probably the 3. It's a good question. So someone said, in addition, for the art strategy that I came up with, that it seems to use psychology and manipulation of scarcity more than artistry in this scenario. How do you keep an audience long-term with the clickbait of that model? Because it's not clickbait, because the thing is, it's not deceptive. See, the implication is that it insinuates that the manipulation and the scarcity is bad. It would be bad if it was artificial scarcity. But it's not artificial scarcity, it's intentional scarcity. So the thing is, remember, this is artistry because it's borrowing exactly from the Eastern philosophy of making sandalis. And sandalis, if you don't know, is the sand-based artistry and painting done by largely either Indian or Tibetan monks. And then the thing is beautiful because it's temporary and you're intentionally destroying it upon completion. So 1, that is artistry because it's actually borrowing from an ancient form of Eastern artistry that is about the temporary nature and the fragility of something beautiful and the humility of nothing lasting. So it's actually artistry at the deepest core level of making art for the sake of making art and then destroying it in submission to the lack of permanence in mortality. So it actually is artistry and it's philosophy. So that's why making a YouTube channel, like I said, with the strategy of where you do these art murals, the community's part of it day in and day out. You do this project every month. Then you paint this mural with the projector on the thing. And then you also do a merch drop of the thing. And then, all right, this is up for a while. And then you literally demonstrate the process of, now that I've completed the thing, I'm going to paint the wall, right, destroy it. And we're doing another new piece of artwork. So the thing is, 1, it's not manipulation and clickbait in any negative way, because the scarcity is sincere scarcity and it's intentional, and it is built in art because it's built in a tradition that dates back to Eastern philosophy. Okay. And so it's real artistry because of that, because it's creating intentional scarcity, because it's about making something and having the humility and supplication to impermanence to destroy what you made. Okay. So the scarcity is real, it's intentional, and it's philosophical. So it's not negatively deceptive, which means it's not clickbait, because it's like, yep. And hey, if you're new here, we start over and we destroy this thing every month. And hey, we're working on a project for the whole year. At the end of the year, we're going to destroy it. So the other thing is, it builds community because community got to be there for something. And if you came to the community late, you were never part of the thing, of the building up and the making it. And because you're also developing it with your community and they're making suggestions and they're informing some of the direction of what gets made, they got to participate in something, and they went into it knowing and understanding that this thing that they're helping create will only exist as this shared experience in a limited moment of time, and that everyone else will only get to reflect on it and never got to be a part on it. They will get to see it, they'll get to experience it, but if they missed it, they won't get to be a part of it. And so how do you keep a long-term community? Because the experience is, I get to be part of this thing when it's happening, and anybody else that comes in afterward really missed out, because at the end, there's an expiration date. It's the impermanence that actually builds the connection with the community, because it's a unique, truly shared experience that will never come again in their lifetime. And therefore, that makes it a more meaningful experience. And that's actually the entire kind of point of impermanent art and destroying what you make, is that the experience is now much more deep and meaningful because it is impermanent by its very nature, and because of the fragility and the humility and the submission to that concept of mortality, impermanence, and that the inevitability of destruction is the shared experience. So the thing is, you can say that it's psychology and it's manipulation of scarcity, but that's just the least generous interpretation of it. And it's not about whether the artistry is more or less. That's just a philosophical debate. So it just becomes a matter of, well, what is your philosophy, or what is meaningful to you? And so are things only meaningful if they last, or are they more meaningful because they don't? So then that's a choice. And so then there's also that deeper experience that's happening, because an audience is deciding if they want to be part of that, and if it is more meaningful for them to be part of something because it's impermanent, or is something only valuable to them if they can hold on to it. So you see, that's why I believe it would work, because who is going that deep? If you look at YouTube and social media, there's so much that's shallow. There's so much that's vapid to it. So this would be the antithesis of that. And the thing is, even if people don't recognize it immediately, there is something attractive about that. So that's why I do think it would work long term. I don't think it's actually clickbait. I actually think it's the inverse of clickbait. I think that there's very few things that could be as authentic as what I'm suggesting. Think about the authenticity in making something and putting your heart and soul into something for 30 days, knowing you're going to destroy it. You have to really actually be about it to do that. You'd have to be really, that's a whole nother level of human being, to spend 30 days committed to something and then destroying it, and then also simultaneously doing a 365-day project on the opposite wall, knowing that, and at the end of 365 days, after putting your heart and soul into something for an entire year, that you're going to publicly and collectively destroy it and start over and do something completely different, and that this is your fate, and that you're going to do this over and over again for 5 years. Do you realize how much of a different animal you have to be built to do that? And that's why no one will do it. And that's why you'd have no competition. And that's why it would work. You say that pop culture is a moving target. And you say pop culture is such a moving target, I'm not sure it could be sustainable. Absolutely, it can be sustainable, because you just pick what has a cult-like following. That's not that difficult. You just pick what has a cult-like following and that has artistry to it. There's also a such thing as a release schedule within pop culture of timing the market and knowing something. A really good example would be knowing what month it says on the calendar that the third Spider-Verse film is going to release. There's a release date planned for that in 2025. So you would plan your project accordingly with that, and then have this mural and project being done during that month and getting all the extra buzz and attraction off of that, so that the month that that thing is releasing and people are seeing it, that the mural is happening that exact same month. And at the end of that month of its same release and everything is when the mural gets destroyed. And that would be an example of this. And people would be like, man, that's and everything like that. But then the other thing is, because that was one of the months, then some elements from that is going to be going on the 12-month mural. And so boom, and you have that. And so, yeah, it is absolutely sustainable because all you have to do is pick elements and things in pop culture and plan around them that have built-in cult-like followings of millions of people. And we can already identify those targets. It's not actually hard. And there's enough variety around that to where multiple creators who had a mind could try this and there'd be a whole trend or community around it. But it's also so physically demanding, challenging, and emotionally challenging that, again, it'd be the far minority of people who could pull it off. That's what makes it high effort content that is very difficult to duplicate. And like I said, I know that almost nobody watching in the chat will have the guts to do this because they want to make original characters and be acknowledged for that and care about whether people care about what they make and what they want to mark and their vision. So that won't work because then that won't reach the massive, larger scale audience to buy into investment. Number one, so that won't work. Two, another angle that people could use is they could use it around big stories, their internet stories around pop culture figures that are always getting attention and in the media, and do it that way and do dedicated murals to those people that have a fan base. And then the thing is, the project and the nature of it keeps being the buy-in to get people to pay attention. So people can do that. There are all kinds of nostalgic properties that have millions upon millions of fans that people would care about, and this would be a thing. So there's all kinds of ways to make this thing that I'm suggesting work, but a lot of people will not do it for all the reasons I stated. And a big part of it is that their emotional aspect of it, or the ego of wanting to be acknowledged for their own original artwork and not other people's name or character or whatever, would be their deterrent. So it would be an ego thing. It would require ego death from somebody artistically to do this. So that's one of the things that's a high level of buy-in, is the ego death. The other one is the natural levels of ability required to do it. So the talent required disqualifies most people on top of the ego death required. Then the energy, bandwidth, and physical ability to do this sustainably, that would be a huge one. So only someone healthy can do it. And then someone would have to also be willing to take the extra effort to go through the lengths of the content strategy that I said beyond the ideation of how they're deploying this for content year round. 365 days of multiple posts across multiple platforms of process videos. They have to have the technical ability to film the time lapses and record it and never lose a day of footage, have redundancy, have backups. So this is not an easy thing to do at all. It's also not cheap to do. The buy-in for this to be able to produce this is also wildly expensive for a lot of people. So again, that's why I know that this is a 100,000 to 1 million subscribed channel over a 3 to 5 year period, because there's just enough of the elements that scale to success: attention, news media coverage, social media coverage, large audience buy-in, shareability aspect of it, viral aspects of it. The short form content strategy deployed against it as well has massive viral potential over and over. The number of communities that can come together around it because of the intersectionality of the IP side of it, the artistic side of it, the technical side of it, the ASMR side of it, how satisfying it can be to watch it. There's just the crafting side. There's just too much of the intersectionality of multiple communities, the psychological dynamics, the total addressable market expansion and crossover, the multi-platform strategy for it. There's just too much that goes into it for it to not be viable and successful. The sustainability mostly will be down to physical and mental health, to be honest. The sustainability of it is not really about the moving target. It's more so the mental health and the physical well-being and strain that it would put on the creator that would be the biggest bottleneck for this. The biggest one, by far. Tyrell Shea says, how many subscribers or videos would you suggest to have posted before you start going live? Well, the way things are going now, I don't necessarily know that there's actually a limit to that I could suggest, but I mean, 100 or so might be a good place to start. But now with what they're doing with vertical lives, you could also get a boost from that. So I wouldn't say that there's a hard number. And I'd also say it would depend on the content that you're making and its capacity for attention. Noctilune's Campfire says, Roberto, what do you think about having a split stream for a short vertical content where I narrate short horror stories with the bottom half being a green screen time lapse console art to promo and sell? For shorts, I don't think that works as well as you might be thinking, because you can't link out to the things that you want to sell. So I don't really think that's that viable. Corey McLean says, Roberto, is YouTube promoting shorts so aggressively that may feel as though you have to post shorts to sustain current rate of channel growth? For a lot of creators in a lot of different niches, it is getting to that point. I have some different thoughts on short strategy, but it can feel that way. I will say that it feels like they're being very aggressive there. Angela asks, Roberto, how to get to 100 million subscribers? If you're in any niche except for gaming, then the answer is probably to get to 50 million to 100 million views. Probably 100 million views is the most consistent number, if I'm being honest. It's probably that you have to get to 100 million views. If you're doing gaming, you might have to get to 250 million views on average to get 1 million subscribers. But it's because views turn into subscribers at a roughly 1% conversion rate. So if your answer is, Roberto, how do I get 1 million subscribers? Get 100 million views. If you get 100 million views without shorts, 100 million views without shorts, then you can get 1 million subscribers. Get 100 million views without shorts, get about 300 to 500 million views with shorts, and you can get to 1 million subscribers. That's the math. That would be the math. Asking things beyond that is then a matter of niche, content strategy, resources, schedule, temperament, upload frequency, total addressable market, who's the biggest creator in your niche, how many channels in your niche have 1 million subscribers. There is literally a 100 question multivariable survey to determine whether 1 million subscribers would even be possible for someone. So the most realistic answer is to get 100 million to 500 million views, and then you should be able to have 1 million subscribers. I'm not joking. That's literally the answer. Louis Lorena asked, should we uncheck the publish to subscriptions feed and notify subscribers when publishing a new video? Most of you should not uncheck that. For the far majority of you, you should not be unchecking that, because for the far majority of you, if you don't get initial views, you're just going to be frustrated with YouTube, and initial views can come from your subscribers, even though the overwhelming majority of subscribers will never see your video. But too many of you, the reality is you will get discouraged and you will become unfocused and you will get sad if you don't at least get some initial views in the first day and the first week that you publish your videos. So for all of you, you do need your initial subscribers' views to keep you going. So I would say for the majority of you, you should leave that box checked. It's not that I believe 100% that it will lead to more growth. It's that I believe that psychologically, it'll undermine you to not see views when you're first posting your videos. Give me 1 second here. And let's see, what else could we do? Sorry, I'm just typing something into YouTube here. There we go. Yep. Sorry, I just had to update something for this video, and that's taken care of. So, yep. Corey McLean is sharing a stat with us. He has 1.4 million views, and 84% is from not subscribed viewers, and only 15% is from subscribed viewers. So, yep, there you go. Kim Helm asked, Roberto, what are the elements of strategies of creating successful video series that keeps viewers engaged and looking forward to the next episode? This is a great question. It's that they have to have at least a consistent value proposition, and they'd have to have the same audience avatar, which means that the audience needs to have the same demographic and psychographic makeup, like we talked about. You have to understand their challenges and their preferences and their biases. So ultimately, as long as you understand those key elements, that's going to play a role. The other thing is for getting clicks. The thumbnail strategy for clicks is called the Vibes framework. So you one needs to be visually attractive. It needs to inform you at a glance. It needs to be interesting at a glance is probably how I would phrase that. Informs me of storytelling just means that's interesting at a glance. So visually attractive, interesting at a glance, bold text and color contrast, eye-catching elements, and social proof. It's the Vibes framework. So the thing is, for getting views, you need to at least have clickable thumbnails like this. Then the value proposition for the audience avatar also needs to be the same. So vibes and value. Vibes and value are your answer for that. And if vibes and value are consistently hitting for the same exact type of audience, the same type of person, that's how you would win. So hopefully that helps. That's a good question. Victor asked, question, Roberto, I'm still a small channel with a sub count between 1K and 5K. When should I set up an LLC for my channel? And is it possible to change my AdSense ID? Will it delete my channel? Do not change your AdSense ID. Absolutely do not change your AdSense ID. And always talk to YouTube support before doing anything on the AdSense side as far as changing anything like that. And then for setting up an LLC, I would say that there's several reasons to set up an LLC. It has less to do with how big your channel is and much more to do with not only revenue and then what you want to approach, how you want to approach your tax situation, but it has a lot more to do with privacy concerns and with legal concerns. Watch my video on the business side of YouTube, and I talk more about LLCs in that video. It's a live stream replay. So you want to go to the live tab, and in the live tab, you will find a video I made about LLCs as a YouTuber. Eventually, I will make a short video that's like 8 to 12 minutes around that topic. Haven't done it yet, but I did a live stream and we cover a lot of it there. Good question. Yeah, I have a whole video about watch hours. Astatine85 has a question. Question, Roberto, do you keep track of the success of your clients? If so, who is your most influenced channel? I keep track of some of my clients, a lot of them, but not all of them. It would be unfair for me to name the most influential one. There's a couple that come to mind. One of them is definitely, I think, at either 6 million or 8 million. The one I can publicly talk about that I'm really proud of is A Drive, because we did a podcast together. You can check out the audio version of the podcast. I haven't dropped the video version of the podcast. Oh, wait. Did we drop the audio yet? No, we haven't dropped the audio or the video version of the podcast. That's coming next week then. If we haven't dropped it, then we'll upload it this weekend or next week. But we publicly promoted the fact that podcast episode is coming out. So it'd be A Drive. It'd be my friend Dan A Drive and his wife with their YouTube channel, over 1 million subscribers. In fact, if you have been paying attention to my Twitter and if you follow me on Instagram, you saw me unbox the copy of A Drive's gold play button that he sent me. So some of my clients are sending me their gold play buttons. Jen from Sewing Report. Jen from Sewing Report sent me her silver play button. So I have that one here. We're going to eventually put Jen's play button up in the Hall of Fame for the Creator Academy. We have the Hall of Fame or the Wall of Fame, however you want to phrase it. And we're collecting those play buttons. So a couple of creators have given me permission, like Cassandra from Becoming a Farm Girl. So she's another successful client. She's in the homesteading niche. So we've got Jen from Sewing Report. We've got her from the homesteading niche. They've given me permission. We got A Drive from the gaming niche. He's sending me a gold play button. We have a couple others. Ben is from his quiz show channel. He's sending me one. So we have permission from him. So that's another silver play button. So to my knowledge, in terms of clients, it's somewhere, we're still doing the auditing, but it's somewhere between 60 plus, if not 70 plus silver play buttons. And we think a minimum of 10 to 12 gold play buttons. But so far, I've only gotten 2 people to agree to send gold play buttons. I've got, I think, 7 or 8 people who've said that they will send copies of the silver play buttons. And then when I get the drywall done in the basement, we'll be putting them up on that wall, and it's going to look really dope when we do it. The other room, the library room in the basement, and I'm going to do some videos in there. Some of you have seen the project. Some of you have seen the basement renovation project on x.com, formerly Twitter, because I've been posting it over there. Plus to my Instagram with my Instagram stories, I've been posting the basement renovations for the studio, the art studio in the basement, and the library in the basement. So those 2 rooms will have more of the showcase of some of those things. A couple of the play buttons will be in the library, and then the majority will probably find their way to the art studio. But the art studio needs framing, a drop ceiling, and it needs some more drywall. It needs drywall on one side. It needs framing on 2 of the walls. So 2 of the walls are framed, and then 2 of them aren't framed. And so the ones that are framed, they need drywall, but we need a drop ceiling, and then we need soundproofing around the water pipes. I digress. The point is, we'll be hanging up the play buttons, the silver and gold play buttons on the in the studio, and some will probably find their way to the library. So I would say the client that I find, because a lot of people want to be gamers. So it's fine to talk about A Drive because that's like the dream for a lot of people. And so A Drive, and I did this podcast, and they'll talk a lot more about the journey to 1 million subscribers, him launching Illustrials, everything he's been doing in the Pokemon community, how our client relationship started. It'll talk a lot about that. It'll talk also about their really successful 6-figure merch strategy. But, excuse me. The which you'll see the role that I played in that, and that's actually really cool. So I would say that A Drive is one of my clients that I'm really happy with and what he's achieved in gaming. There's some creators that I've worked with that I guess I could talk about that I do have permission. I have a creator that is actually on his way. He's about to get a silver play button. So this is one of the creators in the Academy. He's been a long time Academy member, and he is on his way to a silver play button. He's at 84K subscribers. It's Magnify Reacts. And there's a big difference in how far he's come. If you look at like his oldest content, and where he started with his thumbnails, for example, which weren't terrible at all, by the way, and then you look at his latest, then he's doing really well. And what he does is he posts multiple reaction videos a day. And if you go to his most popular like reaction videos and stuff like that, he's doing really well for himself. So we're really proud of him and what he's been doing. So he's going to be a silver play button creator. And so, that'd be another candidate for the Wall of Fame. And so very proud of what he's been doing. But I would say, if you want to say who is the most like influential, the one that I can talk about that's given me permission is A Drive. And so Dan is a very successful Pokemon creator. Who else would you know? Yeah, that's probably the one I'll talk about. And we're putting together a case study around everything that'll come out later once we get the podcast uploaded. So once we get the podcast uploaded, and you'll see more of who my clients are because we're going to start doing more podcast episodes with them. Mostly it'll be creators that are 100,000 because there's only a couple of million subscribed creators and they're also super busy. Yep. Kazi official says, question, Roberto, I have 460,000 subscribers, but I haven't posted actively in 5 years. Oh my God. Ouch, man.
Bruh.
Sheesh. I want to create content different than what my subscribers subscribe for. Any advice? You're going to have to take a hit potentially. I understand wanting to, I'll be honest, dude. I don't know. If you haven't posted in that long and you ghosted your audience for 5 years, I'm going to be real with you. I would start a new YouTube channel with 0 subscribers because I just don't think mentally you can take posting to a 460,000 channel where you ghosted the audience for 5 years. I don't think you're going to be able to handle the lack of engagement and still feel motivated to make content. I think that you have to start from 0 all over again on a brand new channel. I think you can leave this channel alone, archive this channel, thank everybody and whatnot. And if you want to make completely different content, it's a completely new audience. And YouTube has changed in the 5 years since you've been posting, dude. I believe from the bottom of my heart, man.
Bruh.
I believe you have to start a brand new channel from 0 subscribers and start all over again and build a new relationship with a new group of people and leave this previous endeavor and previous success in the past. Because if you walked away 5 years ago, there was a reason for it. There's a reason for it. So I think you have to start over and build a completely from scratch 0 new relationship. Like, I think you have to build a completely new relationship with a new group of people from 0. And I think it'll be peaceful for you because there's also 0 expectations you have, because there's no way to get out of your head about the expectations you have about what you should get with 460,000 subscribers. And it's going to bother you every time someone mentions it. So I would start over. I would definitely start over. Enthusiastic Impression says, isn't that scarcity for the art channel similar to Markiplier's channel that was only up for a year? I think it was called Unus Honest or something like that. Yeah, it's very simpler. It's very similar to that idea, except in his case, they deleted the entire channel after 1 year. And the people who were a part of it got to be a part of it, and the people who never got to experience it didn't get to experience it. That was like that, and that took real guts. That took real guts, and they didn't just like archive that channel. They straight up deleted it. Craft Away with May says, I've had my channel for 2 years and growth feels slow comparison to others. I'm barely at 3,700 subs. Should I consider stopping, or what's the best way to revamp my channel and keep your niche? I don't think that 3,700 subscribers in 2 years is bad. Mr. Beast took 2 years to get 1,000 subscribers, and he's Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast made 460 videos to get to 10,000 subscribers. He struggle bust for like 5 years for that, I think. I don't think that 3,200 in 2 years is bad at all. The odds are you probably also have a 9-to-5 job. If you have a 9-to-5 job, then growing on YouTube is considerably harder than if you don't. If you have a family, YouTube is harder than if you don't. So if you have a job or a family or both, then 3,700 subscribers in 2 years is fine, and you should just keep going. You should just keep going. Ask the teen, okay, Roberto, does the movie company automatically get rights to your work even if being destroyed? It's about doing it in such a way to where it's fair use protected and that you do it strategically. There's a strategic way to approach fair use and derivative work. And as long as somebody knows what they're doing, they'll be fine. Let's see. Yep, no problem. Cadu Ribeiro says, I was out of my channel for 8 months, going back next week. Views or stay because it's evergreen content. Will YouTube have issues distributing my views, or is the steady view count will help? Steady view count will help. Steady view count will help. Some of it might be slow going, but you'll be fine. Klaus says, question, Roberto, I'm struggling to decide on which niche to start. Would it be better to research on what the current trending niches are, or go with what interests me, even if it may not be popular camera/cinema? Camera and cinema channels are fine. The thing that I say about choosing a niche, and you should watch my live stream about finding a niche and finding an audience. I did a live stream about this. You should focus on the intersection of what you are passionate about, what you are good at, what you can monetize, and what has an audience. It has to be those four things, which are referred to as ikigai. So ikigai is from the Japanese Okinawan philosophy of reason to get up in the morning. So that's what ikigai centers around. And so I have a slide for this somewhere. Let's see, that's my value quality slide. Where is... here it is. Let's see. So I have a slide for this. Give me a moment here. Whoops. Sorry, I'm getting to my slides. So bear with me. Just bear with me. Here we go. Okay, I'm just going to pull this from Canva because I think the slide is too big and I'd have to resize it for YouTube. I think I'd have to resize it, the file, before I can upload it to display here. So I'll just use it from here. Oh, wait, this slide is not the one that has the ikigai thing on it. This has how channels stand out. So that's a little bit different. Let me find my slide on ikigai real quick, because you're struggling with your niche. Let me find that one. Files. Ikigai. Where's my ikigai slide? No, it's here somewhere. I know that, like, because we usually have this for everything. Because it's a concept I talk about all the time, and I know that I have a slide for it specifically. Oh, wait, maybe it's in the... Oh, you know what? It might be in the podcast playbook slides. It has to be in the podcast playbook slides, because there's no reason it wouldn't be. Oh, wow. It's not in the... Okay, guys, just bear with me. I'm looking for my slide. Sorry about that. I'm looking for a very specific slide that teaches a very specific thing. And it just shows to me that I like have way too much content apparently, because I can't even find the bloody thing that I'm looking for. Because this thing that I'm looking for with regard to Ikigai basically explains visually at one glance exactly how you need to think about choosing your niche. And so if I can find this slide for you, it will just kind of unlock this thing in your brain in a way that my words won't do by themselves. So like in the meantime, while I'm looking for this, you guys can enjoy this slide. Yeah, actually enjoy this slide on the ideation process while I hunt down the slide that I actually want. Let's see. Let's see. Maybe I have it somewhere in, maybe it's in my desktop. Oh, I have an MP4 of this, but not a PDF. Well, that's annoying. Let's see. Okay, that's the value one. Nope. Yep. Sorry for like the dead air here, you guys, while I look for this bloody slide. It's really annoying to me that I don't know exactly where this slide is because I have like all these crazy presentation decks. Because we have like 100 PDFs that we made for the Academy. But I do know that this slide exists because like I've made this graphic so many times, like so many times. And it's just irritating me that I don't know exactly where I put it. I guess in theory, though, that I can just basically recreate a version of it in real time here, just because it's annoying to me that I want you guys to see a visual example of this, and I don't have one right in front of me, and I'm just getting irritated by that now. So what I'll do is instead is I'll load this up in Canva and I'll just literally make it in real time so that you guys can understand the principle and so you can see it. And then I'll also know that it exists. So your passion, your skills, then monetization, and then audience. And we can call this, demand to a degree. And so this becomes ability, this becomes profession, I believe. This becomes kind of we can call this a vocation or a calling. And then what would we call this intersectionality? We would call this intersectionality, oh yeah, we'd call this intersectionality here market fit. So yeah. So ultimately, and I hope you all can see this clearly, but yeah, this more or less is what Ikigai is from my perspective. And so it'd be the intersectionality of your passion and skills, are what I refer to as your ability. Okay, so the intersectionality of your passion and skills. What do you love to do? What are you actually genuinely good at? That's called your ability. And your ability needs to overlap with what is in demand. What is there a big enough audience want? What does an audience want? And what will people pay you for? And then you can call that the market fit. Okay. So ultimately, on a long enough timeline for us to not suffer, what we have to really figure out is we have to figure out our abilities, aka our passion, and the intersectionality of where we like this and we're good at it. Okay. And then what do people want and what will people pay for? That's called market fit. And so the intersectionality of the market fit and our abilities is where our most opportunity lies to do something that we love, can make money at, are good at, and that people care about, where we won't suffer. And then this magical intersectionality is called ikigai. And this becomes our purpose. This becomes our purpose. This becomes our reason for being. This becomes what keeps us happy, whole, healthy, and not starving to death. And so this is, and then that's why, of course, and then with that, that's why we would do it. And that's why we would do it. And so that becomes our ikigai, our reason for being. So if you look at someone like me, I have a very specific set of skills, right? I have communication skills. I have skills in marketing, sales, branding, design, visuals. I have all these technical abilities, and I have this, intersectionality of business, tech, and art. Okay, business, tech, and creativity. Let's say. So these are my skills, but they're also my passions. Passionate about creativity. There's a lot of things that I care about in tech, and I'm really good at the business and marketing aspects of these things. So I have a passion and I have a skill set. That's my ability. Okay. And then these are things people will pay for, and there is enough of an audience demand for it. So there is a decent market fit that intersects with my ability. And so I could just do this, what I'm good at, and makes money for a living, and that would be what's called a profession. Okay. If I'm good at it and it makes money, then it can be my profession. I can do this for a living, but you can do something for a living, be very good at, make money about it. And you could also not care about it and not be passionate about it. You could even hate it. People hate their job, even if it makes them money. So, that wouldn't be good. That's not good. You don't want that. Okay. Now, some people, they have a vocation. They have a calling. They're very passionate about something, and there is a need for it in the world, but it doesn't necessarily make them money, and they don't have to be the best in the world to do it. They just have to be passionate about. Those people usually become starving artists. So it's not merely enough to have a vocation, because you'll starve. And it's not merely enough to have a profession, because you will burn out. So if you have something that intersects all of these, then you have a purpose and a reason for being that will not lead you to suffering, and where you can optimize and be happy because you enjoy what you do enough. It doesn't have to be your number one passion, but you enjoy it enough. It is something you're reasonably good at and can improve at over time. It pays you in such a way that you have a very good lifestyle where all of your sacrifices are worth it and validated with money, so that the life you live isn't painful and can support what you're doing. And then there is enough of an audience and demand for it to make sure that you continue to be paid well for it, and to make sure that you feel seen and validated and accepted for what you enjoy, and that you also are being acknowledged and feel that you're getting the respect that you deserve for being skilled. And that's why this is something I wanted you to be able to visualize. I didn't want this to just be words I spoke. I need you to see this and feel it and understand it and to be able to interpret that. And that's why I needed to make another slide for it. I need to make the graphic because it's that important. It's that important for you to understand this and to realize that this might be what's missing, the missing pieces to the puzzle in your life as a creator, as a business person, as an entrepreneur, as an individual. Like, this may be what you lacked clarity on. And so now that you see this, you can't unsee it. And now you have more clarity. And now it makes sense what was lacking. And now you can start to try to analyze this a little bit. So hopefully finally seeing this as a slide finally is helpful to the majority of you. And hopefully now it makes, a bit more sense to you. When I say ikigai and I say, okay, when I say to niche down and how to find your niche, this is the system, this is the framework, this is the mental model for finding your niche. And it's why it's important. So for Clow, who says you're struggling with, what to do, you need to figure this out. If you figure this out, the answer will exist. You're a good guy, Roberto. Clarissa Montesa says, you're a good guy, Roberto, but you always see a little down and not as happy. I think that's just, I'm tired. Like, I'm doing these live streams late at night, and it's after I've done coaching in a lot of cases. So, and then also I spent a lot of time this morning down in the basement working on the library and stuff like that. And then I spent time today putting together the speakers in the theater room. So I did a bunch of coaching today, and I've been up since 6 a.m. and I did a bunch of manual labor. So if I seem down, I'm not down, I'm tired. So that's all it is I'm probably just tired. And at this point, I probably need something to drink. My throat's probably getting a little dry too. So I'm like, do you think you would be happier at 1 million subscribers? Nah, not really. Optimal happiness for me would probably revolve around the contingent of paying off my mortgage, getting married, and having children. That's probably the only thing that drastically increases my happiness. 1 million subscribers would only marginally increase my happiness. 1 million subscribers will only marginally increase my happiness. Making $1 million a year would marginally, but much more marginally increase my happiness, but only because it would guarantee security and eliminate more of my anxiety. So the reason it moves the needle on my happiness, I know most people are like, oh my God, that'd make me so happy. It's like, no, for me, it does. But the main reason would be it eliminated anxiety around security, because I would just be faster in my timeline of feeling absolutely secure financially. And I'd be able to take more risk. So that could marginally, but the most thing that would probably increase my happiness is probably just having a family. Would probably be the most significant thing to increase my overall happiness. The trade-off for that for a lot of you, though, is it wouldn't be that you would see me less, but probably less on the live streaming side. And I'd probably just end up outsourcing all of my non-essential tasks, meaning that I would basically just be the star of my content and the talent, and that every other part of my operation would be outsourced, and that I'd have to limit some of my coaching and bring on other people to help. And that's what would change in that scenario. So again, I have actually very good baseline of happiness for where I am in life and for my levels of comparative success. However, I'm not an excitable person, let's say. So I'm not an excitable person. I have what might be a very healthy baseline happiness for an introvert. Because I'm not extroverted, my happiness won't present in the way that other people's do. And I'm probably lower energy than some people. So the thing is, it's not that I'm sad. It's that I'm not PewDiePie. I'm not like this excitable person that bounces up and down all the time, unless something in real time is that moment to be like that. So I'm much less, let's say, hyper than other people. So don't get me wrong. It's not that I'm like super sad or anything. It's that the way that my relationship with quote unquote happiness would be much more focused on interpersonal relationships at this stage in my life than any external validation, because I've achieved more than 80% of my dreams. I've achieved more than 80% of my dreams before 40. The other portions of it that are in my control, that don't rely on other people, aka interpersonal relationships, the only things remaining on my bucket list for happiness that exist outside of interpersonal relationships, things where other people play a role versus what I myself can control, are all things that on a long enough timeline, if I'm consistent now, inevitably happen. So at this point, it's that there's now, who I feel bad for, by the way, is people who've achieved 80% of their dreams before 25, because man, that's a lot of life left to live without extra mountains to climb or nowhere else to go in terms of going up. So I'm more sad for people that are like 25 or 30 and have achieved 80 to 90% of all their dreams. And my dreams were not small. At this point, some of the other things, because I could extend my list to slightly less reasonable things, because people would say, oh, well, you're not dreaming big enough. No, that's not true. But those other things, they're just extras that wouldn't necessarily make me more happy, right? They might be something that would make other people really, 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 really happy. But for me, they wouldn't be happiness. They might be bragging rights. They might be, oh, wow, look at how successful you are. But they wouldn't make me necessarily any happier, let's say, right? So you have to figure out what would make you happy, what you would be motivated by. Like, so for me, a lot of what I wanted revolved around, I have a lot of freedom. I can wake up when I want. I can do more or less what I want. So there's a lot there. So I'm very grateful for that. And the thing is, I thought that the things that I wanted, I thought I could achieve them, but I thought I'd achieve them by 55. And I achieved most of them before ever turning 40. I'll be 40 in June. So so I mean, it's more of that. So there's a difference between tired and unhappy. And so a lot of what you guys might see with me is I'm not down, but I do have a lot going on, and sometimes I'm tired. Now there are times when I get frustrated. Now there's a difference there. I can be tired, I can be frustrated, but it doesn't mean I'm unhappy, let's say. We have Philip here. Thank you, Philip. Philip says, Robert, keeping up with clients. I've never been a direct client of Roberto, but when I built new rock stars, I had watched a ton of Roberto's content. Thank you for that. Appreciate you. Brian360 says, Roberto, wow, didn't even know this was happening, but glad I found this. I loved your book. Lots of great info. We'll definitely watch this and past episodes. Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate you. US Plus Dad says, Roberto, we'll be reaching out to you next week about joining Awesome Creator Academy. Vertical video streaming has been a game changer for me. Thanks for all you do. Absolutely. Yeah. Vertical video. I think the vertical feed for YouTube, like I said, the vertical feed for YouTube is really interesting to me, because I think it's going to be one of the most powerful traffic sources in YouTube, because it transitions YouTube to mobile first, truly mobile first. And I think that truly mobile first is something that a lot of people are not looking hard enough at. And that's where I think that now every format has a vertical feed equivalent now. And I believe that YouTube vertical videos that are not shorts are actually going to be very important here in the near future. And I believe they're going to end up getting the kind of long form view reach that minute long plus videos get in TikTok. And so I think it's going to be very comparable. So I think you're going to have vertical YouTube and horizontal YouTube. I think you're going to have, I think you're going to have like a mobile priority experience. And then I think you're going to have an everything else experience. So I think you're going to have vertical video experiences, and I think you're going to have widescreen experiences. And I think that the distribution of that is going to be very interesting. And I think that that's going to be very much a split on YouTube, that you're going to have vertical video creators that are like mobile first or mobile only creators, let's say. So I think the difference is going to be content that's mobile only. Even though it can be theoretically consumed, it's optimized for mobile. So there's going to be mobile only content, and then there's going to be mobile first content. And I think traditional YouTube as we know it is technically mobile first, because 80% of people watch on mobile devices. But that's going to be your regular vertical YouTube videos where you flip this way or this or that, whether it's a live stream, whether it's a video on demand, so on and so forth. But I think that now, between shorts and vertical live streams, I think there's going to be some creators that decide to go not only mobile first, but mobile only. And so there's going to be mobile only content that's optimized for mobile, or you could call it mobile first. You can call it mobile first or mobile only. And then there's going to be any device content. So any device content is live streams like this that are widescreen. Widescreen is any device video, but vertical is going to be mobile first optimized content. Yes, you can consume it on your television. You can consume it on your desktop, but it's optimized for mobile. So that means it's mobile first. So there's going to be mobile first, and then there's going to be all devices content. So mobile first content and all devices content, I think, is the future of YouTube. And I think it's the split on YouTube. And I think that's going to be interesting what creators take advantage of that. So I think that it's going to be a brave new world when it comes to YouTube. I think it's going to be a brave new world. Coastal Diva says, I'm running out of room on my phone storage. Should I store my old videos and its pictures or not delete them after uploading to YouTube? Oh, I tried to not delete anything. Consider using either Streamable to back up your storage of your videos, or upload them to a Google Drive so that you still have them. I'm also a big fan of these SSDs, these very small SSD drives. I use Samsung. I archive some of my stuff with Lacy drives as well. But yeah, I back up everything. I don't like deleting anything. Trenton's Tech. Hey, what's up, Trent? Trent says, I pivoted towards Apple Vision Pro content. Lots of views out there out the gate, but the interest seems to have died down and subs have stagnated. Should I just build evergreen content until the next update? Yes, absolutely. But go back to content that had a provable view floor for you, meaning like, oh, I know I get views when I do this. So yeah, go back to some of that content for those viewers, and also look for the crossover of, okay, people who like the Apple Vision Pro content will also like this because they own other Apple devices. So just make some evergreen Apple device content and you should be fine. Terrence Wild says, question, Roberto, do you have a video on how to get monetized as a new reaction channel? Actually, my video on monetization and getting 4,000 watch hours and my 1,000 view video should work for you, even if you are a reaction channel. It should work either way. Philippe said, if you can't find the slide, Ikigai and Niche section also has a subject of recent newsletter. So if you're signed up for the newsletter, you might have it there. Yep. But I did end up finding the slide. Thankfully, I did find the slide on Ikigai. Well, no, actually, I didn't find it. I remade it. So at least there's that. And the thing that annoys me is, like, I remade it, but what I really need to do is I need to turn all the text white because it reads better. So I just do that manually here, even though it's annoying. Like, I'm really like, I'm really neurotic about this sort of thing. I get really irritated with design things. And so then my neurotic side of my personality absolutely takes over, and I become kind of OCD about it. Which actually, if you're a very neurotic person, graphic design is probably the perfect thing for you to do. So yeah, so there. I like that better. I'm happy now. Let's see. Brian360 says, Roberto, I've always struggled with my thumbnails, best still of the video with a title, so on and so forth. I've started using AI images, but those things don't actually appear in the video. Is that misleading? Bad? In general, more and more YouTube content leans away from the actual thing needing to be the video. I look at it as like, how can I say this? I look at it and the way that advertising and marketing has always been. And the thing is, if you look at the TV show intro, those clips are not things that happen in episodes in the actual thing. Like Rick and Morty is a great example, right? The intro to Rick and Morty, none of that actually appears in the episodes that you end up seeing. So like, I look at it much the same way. I think you can package a YouTube video to sell the idea and get attention. I think the title is a more important part of the promise. The thumbnail gets attention, but the title delivers on the promise. Do you see what I'm saying? The title makes the promise, the thumbnail grabs attention. So I think that you're okay if you go that route. Astatine says, question, why don't you have an LLC? Isn't there a tremendous... I have an LLC. I have more than one. I have multiple LLCs. Michael Billup says, Roberto is a quote unquote mismatch. What he's feeling doesn't necessarily show on his face or his behavior. That's actually quite true. That's actually quite true, is that it might be why I have a really good poker face. It might be why I was always good at strategy and card games, is because my facial expression has nothing to do with the cards I'm holding in my hand. So yeah. Miss Rising Star. Actually, I'd be a wind and water sign because I am a Gemini and Cancer cusp. So if you're doing the whole astrology thing, I actually am an air and water sign. Emmanuel Sanders says, Roberto, hey, I don't have a YouTube channel, but I still like your videos, and I use what I learned to give advice to my friends who are getting started on their own channels. Oh, I appreciate you. That's cool. Noctalin says, Roberto, if you're feeling extra neurotic, you could always add some thick black outlining to the white text, LOL. No, I'd probably just add drop shadow. The Lay Right says, thumbnails are your book cover, and your book cover has to attract attention. So your thumbnail needs to encompass the emotional outcome or goal in some way. Just my humble opinion, Roberto is the expert. Actually, no, you nailed it. You're absolutely right. You nailed it. That's why for the thumbnails, I have the vibes thing that I talked about, the vibes framework. So visually attractive, interesting at a glance. So visually attractive, instantly at a glance, bold text and color contrast, eye-catching elements, and social proof. Yep. Mr. Lot says, $9.99 super chat. Are vlogs still viable in 2024, or should I go to a direct niche? Vlogs stylistically, but not vlogs for the sake of vlogs, meaning I would never call something vlog number 15 or vlog number 100. I would never do that. Not today. Today, in terms of, I do like this question actually. So vlogs. Today, vlogs are not called vlogs. Today, just make reality TV style content, meaning that you can make it look and feel like a vlog, but do not call it a vlog, and basically make it loosely scripted lifestyle content. So it's more important for you to basically think of vlogs as, I need my own reality TV show. Make a vlog your own reality TV show, and do not call it a vlog. It's not a vlog anymore. So Vlogs, as in the vlogs that you enjoyed on YouTube from 2006 through 2015, that's dead. That, oh, I'm watching these vloggers, like that's dead. What it is that vlogs are now just reality TV style content done on YouTube. And the way vlogs are done now is ideally vlogs are no longer first person of you holding your camera and your vlogging camera. It's someone following you around with a camera like a reality TV show. That's the new vlog. The new vlog is third person camera angle reality TV show content. Kareem Little says, how can I use AI more effectively for video? I would say that the area that AI helps for video is creating outlines, is probably its most practical application for you if you're talking about the video process. I would say it's for outlines, and then for video itself, if you're using like something like Adobe Premiere, then it's for the editing process of automating things like removing all the dead air, pauses, silences, doing transcription, that sort of thing. Yeah. So yeah, I think we've done all of the super chats for sure. Katie Ukulele asks, could your strategy and suggestion for an art channel be translated into a music channel, do you think, in some way? I'd have to come up with a completely different strategy for a music channel. I do think there is something to be done with, if I were going to approach it, what's my big, well, there's some big strategy ideation for a music channel. So my big idea, I don't know how feasible it is, by the way, to pull it off because of the effort required and the physical demands of it. My idea for a music channel would revolve, I have to give you a different idea than one of my clients' idea that I came up with for them. My big idea, my big radical idea for a banger channel that a musician could pull off that no one could easily probably replicate would be, I would take the, this is wild. Every week, I would take viral news events and then make a music video, not just a song. Well, I'd probably make a song and a music video. And this is wild because you have to basically do the 48-hour film challenge to pull this off. Is the 48, if you're familiar with the 48-hour film challenge, you'd have to be able to do this both as a musician and then as a guerrilla style indie filmmaker and pull it off, which would be extremely difficult. And this isn't necessarily a tip for you, Katie. This is just inspiration for any music channel, but it's high level of difficulty. So what would my thing do? Every week, I pull one of the trending viral news headlines that everyone is talking about everywhere. And then I make a parody / reaction video to these headlines that people have going or what in the world. And then I basically try to go viral by making a song and music video within 48 hours of a major headline news. And try to go viral. I just have to pick something that's not in bad taste to go viral for. I just have to pick something that's not in bad taste to go viral for. And you might have to be willing to take some risk there, but basically you have to be able to pull off and have the capacity, the skills, the resources, the ability, the ingenuity, and the technical ability and creative understanding and art direction of saying, can I pull off a 48-hour film challenge where I can literally turn around a serviceable, funny, parody, guerrilla, grunge style music video? And by grunge, I don't mean grunge aesthetically. I just mean in the fact of like the fact that you throw it together and it's like, oh, and this is very gritty and very like DIY, and put together a DIY, funny music video and banger that also can be musically very high level done and be a total bop in 48 hours and make that and get that music video up while the headlines are still viral in the news cycle. Because the cool thing is, one, it can go organically viral. It could also get picked up by media that you did this thing. And so doing that every week gives you this crazy potential. The other avenue the other cool thing is, if you nail it and if everything's original, you can post it and distribute it with DistroKid. And then you've got this stream. And then if you've got this thing that's going viral and streaming, then you're making streaming royalties and you're making money. And again, if you're taking a shot at that literally every week, if you're taking a shot at this every single week, and if any of it takes off, when you want to say, but I need the song to be better, do a remix, do a remaster. And then if you do a remaster, remix, then you get to do your true musicianship of making it perfect later, but you got the attention, right? So it's literally putting out a banger every week, but I know that that's really hard to pull off. I know it's hard to pull off. And I know it also means, unfortunately, paying attention to the headlines, which is not mentally healthy. Again, that's why outlier success is so extreme, is because it takes really unreasonable things sometimes. Like, so again, my big ideas are almost completely unreasonable. They're completely unreasonable. But if you look at what succeeds on YouTube, it's people being completely unreasonable. Yep. Let's see. The lady writes, says, how do you do reality TV show following you kind of video when it's just you? You recruit friends, family, or an intern who needs a couple of bucks, and you co-opt them into doing it. Yep. So you co-opt friends and family and use them for free labor, or you pay an intern minimum wage. Yep. On Point says, hey, what if I'm not knowledgeable on a niche, but I'm very passionate about it? Would it be a good idea to start a channel on that? You could, but if it doesn't work out, then you know why. So I'm not saying don't do it, but you don't need my permission. If you want to make a video or a channel because you're passionate about the video or the channel, then you should. You just can't necessarily be upset with the results if it's something that lives outside of your skill set, or if you know that there's not a big audience for it. Kareem Lil says, question, Roberto, how would you go about creating question-solving content without going live? Faceless. Sorry if you guys went through this already. Thanks. Question-solving content? So do you mean quizzes or something like that? Because if it's question-solving content without going live, do you mean quizzes, or do you just mean Q&A? If it's Q&A, then that's just tutorial and how-to content, and it's basically just do what I did when I started. Extra Erica says, oh, sorry, exactly Erica says, is the AI paid versions of TubeBuddy and vidIQ worth it for the price for small monetized channel? If you're not monetized, just use the free tools. If you're not monetized, just use the free versions of everything. The only thing I tell not monetized channels to spend money on is basically hardware and books. Books and hardware are basically the only thing to spend money on when you don't make money off your content. So, yep. So that's what I would say. Let's see. I think that's pretty much everything. So I think that is a good place to bookmark it for this evening. Yeah, it's been 3 hours. It's basically a marathon. It's about 10 o'clock at night. Time for me to definitely go to bed. I've got to get up and do stuff tomorrow. I've got a lot more work to do in the basement with all the build out down there. So that's going to be a whole thing. But Thank you to everybody who joined the stream tonight. Really appreciate you. Thank you, as always, to our sponsors, Streamyard, OpusClip, and Kajabi. Links are in the description down below. Make sure you're checking them out. Make sure you're checking out awesomecreatoracademy.com and everything that I offer over there, especially if you guys got tremendous value out of tonight's stream. I definitely encourage you. We have a $9 product that you can pick up. It's only $9. It is the Creator Blueprints product. It is a bunch of PDFs like some of the slides you saw today, giving you clear frameworks on how to execute. So it's at awesomecreatoracademy.com. It's only $9. It is one of the most affordable ways that you can support what I'm doing here. And me and my team worked really hard on these. So would really appreciate your support there. In terms of one of the best resources that you can get with a free trial, and it gets you started with your newsletter, absolutely recommend you guys at least do the free version of ConvertKit. And it's currently free up to 3,000 email subscribers. That, guys, gets you an email newsletter. And remember, I've taught you how you can use the sponsorship portion of newsletters to monetize. And so it can be very lucrative to sponsor your newsletter, get some sponsorship that way, and make some decent money, and make that money outside of your YouTube channel. You can also use this to promote affiliate links, do other things, and it gives you a direct access connection to your audience to have an email list. So again, that one's free, and you should definitely check it out. So I've linked it there. And then finally, remember, we do have our 12-week creator playbook that's absolutely free, which signs you up to my email newsletter, and that's totally free. You'll also get follow-up emails from me on each of the steps each week when you sign up for that. So that is going to be linked in the description, and I just dropped it in the chat for you guys as well. So you know how to get those things, and those resources are all available, and they're in the description. So make sure you're checking them out. Like I said, you can check out all of my other resources, awesomecreatoracademy.com. So definitely want to shout that out for you. Make sure you're checking that out at some point. And so, yeah, that's it for tonight's stream. Really appreciate you. Appreciate all the super chatters. It's great hanging out with you guys on another Friday. Remember that the streaming schedule is Monetization Mondays, where we talk about making money, becoming a full-time content creator, making up to 10 grand a month. Workshop Wednesdays, where you learn hardware and software skills, workflows, and how to be more efficient and effective as a content creator with specific skills. And of course, these FAQ Fridays, where I answer all your questions and we go over content strategy, idea generation, and YouTube analytics. So FAQ Fridays, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, live streams, y'all. That's how we're doing it. Really appreciate y'all. We're going to end the stream with my book trailer. Make sure you're checking that out. Create Something Awesome, How Creators Are Profiting from Their Passion in the Creator Economy. Available in Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, and wherever books are sold. Stay awesome, and I will catch you next time. I finally did it. I finished my book, Create Something Awesome, How Content Creators Are Profiting from Their Passion in the Creator Economy. The book is available now in paperback and in Kindle, where you can read it on any e-reader or device. And I'm really excited about this. The audiobook is coming soon, probably October 2022. Oh my God, it's so great to be able to have this book done, put it up on the bookshelf, and to know that all of you who appreciate it, you want to hear what I have to say about the creator economy, becoming a full-time content creator, and what the experience and lifestyle of being a content creator actually is like. This is the book. I put 20 chapters in here of the most important things I think that content creators could be focusing on today. I talk about the mental health aspect of being a content creator, getting discouraged, imposter syndrome, not charging what you're worth, and mostly actionable advice around monetizing your content properly, but also how to build an audience on your authenticity and what it's really like to start from zero, even today. So if you're interested, make sure you're checking out the book. You can order it on Amazon. You also probably order it in a lot of other places like Barnes & Noble, and it will be coming to other bookstores soon. Really excited about it. Thank you for all the support and love around the book and the positive reviews. Now go ahead and pick it up and make sure you go out there and create something awesome today. Take care.